let me know. Nancy, I'm waiting for you to tell me. Good evening, everybody. Thank you for your patience. Okay, today is March 30th, 2023. It's 8:05, and we are returning to public session. Could we have roll call, please?
Councilman Kopp?
Here.
Councilman Rosenzweig?
Here.
Councilman Wilson?
Present.
Councilwoman Wasatski? Here. Council President Marin?
Here.
Absent with prior notice is Mayor Michael Wiles. Present is City Manager Robert S. Hoffman, City Attorney Bill Bailey, and CFO Michael Kaufman.
Okay, we'll have the approval of minutes. Resolution 113033023. This is the resolution accepting minutes. Do I have a motion?
I make a motion.
Second? I second. Roll call.
Councilman Kopp?
Yes.
Councilman Rosenzweig?
Yes.
Councilman Wilson?
Yes.
Oh, sorry, Kevin. You have to abstain, that one's from 2021.
I'm sorry, abstain.
Councilwoman Wasatski? Council President Marin?
Yes. Okay, we now have a public hearing on our Bergen County Open Space Grant 2019 repurpose application. Do you want me to read this? You want me to read this, or would you like to talk about it?
I'll talk. I can talk.
Okay, Mr. Hoffman will explain this.
Thank you, Council President. This public hearing is about repurposing a grant that had originally been received to make improvements at Tryon Park, at the pool at Tryon Park. The city is not able to use this grant at Tryon Park because the city does not own the property that the pool is on. It's owned by the Board of Education. So there's a C1 stream permit that's needed from the DEP. It will take too long to get, but the Bergen County Open Space Board has agreed to let the city move that grant funding to McKay Park so we can make improvements to the piping at the pool. So it's going to be for the same purpose. We're going to replace the piping under the pool, make some other improvements, and this way we will be able to conform with the deadline for using the grant.
Okay, thank you. If anyone would like to speak on this subject, this is the time. Please come up to the microphone, give us your name, your address, and keep your comments or questions to 3 minutes. If there is a question involved, we'll try to answer it after everyone has spoken. Yes. This is all about the Bergen County Open Space Grant.
I do realize that. Okay. I looked at that grant application carefully. It explains.
Excuse me, could you give us your name and
Lucy
address?
Walker,
And your address?
Englewood, New Jersey.
Okay.
I looked at the grant. Also went back to the original agreement between the Board of Education and the City of Englewood. Okay? In 1984 was the last time that 25-year agreement was signed. It was due to be signed again in May of 2009, but it wasn't. Green Acres will not basically approve the grant unless the agreement is in place. Would somebody please go put the agreement back in place, because the original lease has some very important stipulations in there that have to do with the care and safety of our children. Now, even in the present Green Acres application, there is a little statement at the bottom saying that if the applicant does not own the property in question, they give very explicit instructions on what they are to do. And I am really wondering why that was not done. Because there's a problem at Tryon Avenue Pool since maybe 2010. The children have had to go across the street to a nasty, funky field house, one-stall bathroom, and wait in line. Now, a parent who comes with 3 kids to the pool, she gonna take all 3 at once? Plus, the law states, the bathing law, you know which one I'm talking about, that the water cannot be more than 50 feet away from the restroom. We need to get back into the middle school. Everyone needs to pull up those big boy and girl panties and go speak with the Board of Education and get a new agreement signed so the city can start putting a custodian in the locker room where they are supposed to be so the kids can go back into the locker room in the middle school. Okay? A woman named Jean Hopewell used to come here every year to speak about this. Jean is almost 100 years old now. Jean cared about skating, and you know that. She was a figure skater, and she was a swimmer. She would come here and complain because the children had to go across the street, stranger danger time, and everyone would look at her like they were. So yes, I went back to 1959, and I traced it all the way up to 2009, and the city has dropped the ball. I think that what you are planning to do now, especially if you're talking about closing in the rink. Lisa, you and I sat together on the ad hoc committee for the rink after Sandy, and you know that we would split one half. Ice in the winter, roller skating in the summer. Now you're trying to close it in so you have ice all year. Oh, we're not feeling very warm and fuzzy about you right now, or you can. Because we think about our children, and we care about our children, and you are leaving our children out. Please,
Okay,
sign that agreement.
Thank you very much.
Rick Wilby, Englewood, New Jersey. I mean, you know, Ms. Walker is right. I mean, but this is a case of robbing Peter to pay Paul, especially when we know that these kind of services benefit, you know, black and brown kids. You know, Englewood is more than the ice rink. We had this discussion a few years ago, I think Charles was in on it, where the pool was leaking over on Tryon 2, right? Has that been fixed? Has that been fixed, do you know?
No, it hasn't.
I mean, it's amazing. We could find money to move historic houses that were given, you know, approval to build in front of synagogues, but we keep taking money from places that all it takes is a simple conversation to understand the law, okay? This grant was allocated to the Tryon Pool. The Tryon Pool is in desperate need of improvements in a bathroom to accommodate these kids, and you're not giving it to them. It's good old-fashioned legislative racism, you understand? And we see it all the time, and we know exactly what it looks like, Judith. This is what it looks like. If you could walk a mile in my shoes, this is what it feels like. We know why it's happening. And it's not just our pools. It's not just our parks. It's also our gardens. You guys have tried to bulldoze gardens, have tried to take things that give people of color a little bit of escape from the reality of what's going on in this city. It's more than the rink and ice skating and everything that you people want to do. We live here too, okay?
Thank you. Do we have any other comments from the public? All right, I am going to close the public hearing on the open space grant.
Can I make a comment?
Yes, please.
Thank you, Council President. The comments made by Ms. Walker are correct, but this grant right now, this is from Bergen County. This is not a Green Acres grant. And the reason we're asking to reprogram it is we received a call from the Bergen County Open Space Committee telling us that they were going to take the grant back, and we asked if we could repurpose it. We do need to reorganize, redo the agreement with the Board of Education, and then go back out and apply for grants through Green Acres, which is the state agency. But this is for the specific grant that we were going to lose. If we don't repurpose it for the pool at McKay Park, then Bergen County is going to take it back. They're going to take that grant money back. So we were trying to keep it here within the city. But you're right. We need to have that grant agreement, and that was the problem. We couldn't go forward with it because the DEP needed to give a couple of permits for the work to be done, and they weren't going to give it to the city because we didn't own the property. So yes, we need to work on that, but we just found out in the fall that we were in danger of losing this grant unless it was repurposed. So thank you.
And I just want to add that Mr. Hoffman acted very quickly, so we didn't lose this money. That doesn't mean that we don't have to do things for Tryon Park, and we will. But this is a whole different issue. All right, we're now going to,
Excuse me,
is there
Council
anyone
President.
on the council? I'm sorry. Go ahead, Charles.
So, I mean, I got a couple of questions. One, can you hear me now? Yes. Good. One, did we reach out to the Board of Education about this grant?
The answer is no. There was a general conversation with the interim superintendent, but we were not going to be able to get an agreement in place before losing this particular grant.
Well, because it's my belief, Mr. Hoffman, that had we reached out to the president or the board, they would have complied, because basically that pool has been there almost 50 years, and other than sitting on the Board of Education's site, the city has been responsible for the pool, number one. And I think that if that grant, and that's the pool that needs to work more than the other pool. So my second question is, what's the timeline? When does this grant have to be, the application has to be submitted?
Bergen County has basically given us, we have to have this hearing before the end of March, which is
Today.
and they've given us an extension of approximately a year.
An extension up to March now, or an
Well,
extension from there?
we have to have the hearing before the end of this month. And then it's going to go to then it goes to Bergen County, and they will decide whether they want to approve it or not, and then we will be able to do the work. But, so your question, how long is the funding available?
Yeah, I mean, you know, how it works is if it was for the Tryon pool, I would have went to the Board of Education, if you know how this works, or whoever was involved with you working on this particular project. That's the pool that needs the work and the support more than the pool at McKay Park. And if that is there, you could have reached out to the Board of Education. I mean, that's part of the problem here in the city of Englewood. We're not working together. And these are things that would help us work together, because we're serving hopefully the same audience. And, you know, I just struggle with that there was no conversation with the Board of Education with that. And to Ms. Walker's point, whatever we do with the pool at Tryon Park, Tryon Field, we should be having a relationship with the Board of Education, so our kids, and many of us at this age that I am, know that we used to use the locker rooms at the middle school, so you didn't have to cross that street.
Right.
But I think there's some work that needs to be done there, you know, and I think that the board would come to the table, and, you know, we're serving the same community here, so, you know, if that's the case, then let's do it that way, and make sure that we can get it. And to be quite honest with you, I would see if we could get it extended. and we should educate the public and let them know exactly what we're doing with those pools and how we can get them used and who's using them and all those kinds of things for that. Because that Tryon pool is important to this city. For those of us who've known, who've used it, who learned how to swim up there and all that good stuff, so. And apprehension is about what's going on in McKay Park. I can tell you based on what I'm hearing and what's being told to me. So, you know, I don't think we should neglect the Tryon pool any longer.
Okay.
Thank you.
Kevin?
And, yeah, no, that's agreed, but the goal was was to make sure we didn't lose the grant money out of Englewood and then, you know, go back and apply for grant funding for Tryon Pool next year.
Excuse me, Kevin? Kevin, did you want to say something?
Yes, good evening, everyone. I think in transparency that now that we know that we haven't had a conversation with the board, that we expedite having some type of communication
I think so, too.
with the Board of Education. And there are new personnels. There are new personnel on the board now that I think we want to work with the council a little bit closer than 2009. So I would like to see us move forward with that type of communication before we move away from Tryon Park Pool.
I think you probably have agreement here. I will call David Matthews and talk to him
Okay.
about getting us all together. And I would like to say my kids all learned how to swim at the Tryon Pool, so I care very much about that. And we will do something, but what, you know, we have to remember that Mr. Hoffman came here in August. He was hit with this in October that we were going to lose this money. He tried everything way he could so that we didn't lose the money. So what we're going to do is use it in one place and develop something, some grant. We'll look for funding to do something on Tryon in the next few months, I hope, because it's something that I care about as well as all of you. So, is there anyone else on the board that would like to? Charles?
Well, Mr. Volsey's not here, but he did get a grant, I believe, for the Tryon pool a number of years ago, 2-3 years ago. He had a conversation with the council at that time, and it wasn't enough money. I think it was $340,000 or something.
Yeah, it was
I
a
can't
few,
remember.
yeah.
So, where did that go?
I believe that that's the grant that, I believe that's this grant that we're trying to save.
But
Well-
that money would have been used for that pool, and we would have got it fixed.
I think,
Something happened.
Charles, if I remember correctly, it wasn't enough for what had to be done there. I think they found other things were wrong.
Well, I was sitting here, and I know he was moving forward on trying to work on that pool at the time, because they don't build pools the way they used to build that
Right.
pool. We were getting a prefabricated pool, they were gonna come and drop it in. The problem was getting the permits and moving the pool, west, because it was too close to the creek for DEP.
Correct.
That was the thing, so they were gonna have to close it. And if I'm not mistaken, the year before COVID, if I'm not mistaken, I think he had plans. We held it 1 year over for something else that we did. Mr. Volsey's not here to obviously speak, and he can set the record straight.
Yeah, this is that grant, and the problem was the timeline with the DEP, with the permits.
Well, hopefully we'll overcome that, and we will not forget this and let it drop. All right, if there's no one else on the council that would like to comment, could we have, we're going to vote now on Resolution 114033023, a resolution of the City of Englewood authorizing the submission of a Bergen County Open Space Recreation Floodplain Protection Farmland and Historic Preservation Trust Fund from the Bergen County Trust Fund grant application. Can we have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
I'll second.
Okay. Yancy?
Councilman Cobb?
Abstain.
Councilman Rosenzweig?
Yes.
Councilman Wilson,
No.
Councilwoman Wasatski,
Yes.
Council President Marin.
Yes. Okay. Now we're going to ordinances, public hearing, second reading. Yancy, would you read the ordinance 23-04?
This is an ordinance, this is an ordinance amending Article 3 of the Administrative Code of the City of Englewood, establishing the position of Deputy City Manager.
Okay, this is our public hearing. Once again, we welcome the public to come to the microphone, give us your name and your address. Questions, comments, questions will be answered after everyone has spoken. You have 3 minutes. Is there anyone that would like to speak from the public? It's an ordinance amending Article 3 of the Administrative Code of the City of Englewood, establishing the position of Deputy City Manager.
Close it and let's go.
Good evening, Raymond Diaz, 408 Shannon Court. Just one clarification on this subject. The deputy city manager, I did hear at one time it was a name change
Yes.
from the assistant city manager. So is it, we're not gonna have a city manager? We're just gonna have a deputy city manager? And then I heard that that city manager could have helped Mr. Volch, our engineer. Then I heard that there's a possibility that you're gonna hire an assistant engineer to help the engineer also. So I'm trying to figure out who's gonna do what and how much are we gonna pay for all these services? It seems like a redundancy, and I don't know what the quantity of work you're looking at because Mr. Hoffman said he was doing it all. So he needed help, right? So can we clarify what this is? What's the salary based on this? Is it a new title or is it a new position? And the assistant manager, is he gonna stay on board? Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Hoffman, I think he wants a clarification about the deputy city manager and what the, what the responsibilities will be and how that relates to Franz. But I believe that's 2 different subjects. If we would clarify?
Sure. The position of Assistant City Manager was authorized in the 2022 budget by the City Council. Then, looking at this in 2023, I asked the City Council to change the title of the position to Deputy City Manager so that it would have line responsibilities. It would be able to help with many things, including looking at health insurance, looking at strategic planning, looking at working, hopefully we'll never have another issue where we have to deal with FEMA, but if we have to do that, we would, this position could deal with that. It would also be able to help the engineer with projects after the engineer has designed projects, so the engineer could go on to other things, but it would be able to make sure that all of our departments are working together and not in silos, and then it would help. It would also look at our different functions and make recommendations on how to make sure that we're more efficient in using our taxpayers' money in a better manner, more efficiently.
I hope that answered your question. In other words, we just changed the title.
And we did, and then
But
we
describe
did
the
add
duties.
some line responsibility.
And added responsibility.
Leroy Campbell, 287 Tenafly Road. I think what we all wants to know is the pay scale. Is there a change, is there an upgrade in pay or there a decrease in pay for this position?
I believe that's in another ordinance.
Yeah.
It's in ordinance 2306, which we haven't gotten to, but we do describe the salary range.
Okay.
If you have a copy of the agenda, it's ordinance 23-06.
All right, William Satterfield, 251 South Dean Street. I've called your office and there's a lady who answers the phone. I think her name is Catherine.
Okay.
Now, what does she do, and what would be the qualification of the person you're trying to hire? Because I've called there, I just give you an example. I called in February, middle of February, to get an appointment with you. She said she couldn't do that until after March. She said you were running into budgets, whatever. That's why I have no problem with that. Still give me an appointment. She said she couldn't do that. She had to wait till after March in order to, so then I asked her, she said, what's your concerns? So I have a letter here with plenty of them, but at the time I mentioned what I thought was very dangerous was the cobblestones on Palisade Avenue that are well, not halfway, but they're in the street. And since then, nothing has happened. She said, don't worry, I'll take care of it. So what does she do, and why do we need someone else if she's there to do, and she has an assistant too, right?
No?
Who's the lady that answers that? When I come in the office, it's not her, it's another lady that gets her.
There's a woman named Norma that's
Yeah.
there, and
What is her job then? What is her responsibility?
Norma's one of the assistants. She's responsible for insurance. She handles parking issues, and she helps in the office.
Now, when you say handles insurance, you said that about this other person too.
No,
They were-
yeah, I'm sorry. Like workers' comp claims and filling out the accident forms if people have accidents or there's car accidents, the Title 59.
Okay.
The Title
So
59 stuff.
you won't know the salary of this person until something else. Let's get an idea, because there's already 2 people in the office,
Mhm.
and then you're gonna hire somebody else.
That's correct.
And we need a lot of hiring, to me, in DPW. So I
Yeah,
don't.
we do have openings in the DPW, and we're advertising for 3 mechanics right now.
All right. All right, thank you.
Okay.
Is there anyone else from the public that would like to speak? Okay, I'm going to close the public part of the discussion. Anybody on the council want to speak to this? This is on the deputy city manager position. All right. Okay, can I have a motion?
So moved.
Second, anybody?
I'll second it.
Charles
Okay,
has
roll
his
call.
hand up.
Charles, I'm sorry, I can't, there's a I couldn't see you, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
You're supposed to motion, second, and then have discussion.
I thought we did have a motion.
That's only if I hadn't had, my hand was up before all of that took place.
There's a shadow on my, this plexiglass, that's why I didn't see you. I'm sorry.
That's fine. That's fine. So, I have a question. Is this person, whoever this person is, gonna be a deputy, city manager? Are all the department heads gonna roll up to that person?
No, they'll roll up to me, but this person will have specific line responsibility when there's different projects.
Right. Well, so we're gonna take the projects away, or are they gonna work in coordination with Mr. Volsi?
Yeah, they will work in coordination with Mr. Volsi. Mr. Volsi is being pulled in many, many different directions, and this person will work on financial analysis. Will be doing other things to help the city. It's not just, it's not just working on capital projects, managing certain capital projects. So.
Well, I guess somebody brought up the point, we're adding to the head count, so we have to pay for that position. And if we have people already doing that job, why are we adding to head count? I think I think what we will see, I think people are saying is that, we should be mindful of adding to head count because that increases our tax base ultimately, because you have to pay for that. And I think that's what they're saying. At that level, I think somebody asked, how much was this person going to make? There should be a defined number for what that person is going to make, so people could understand, because at the end of the day, they pay the bills. So I think that a little bit more detail to the description of that role with that particular position would be helpful to these people, especially when we've had that assistant city manager, a line item for as long as I've been on the council, we just never filled it, because there was never a need to fill it. So I think it would be helpful to the public to be more direct in terms of what's the need, projects, whatever, a job, and I think I mentioned this at the last meeting, a job description for that particular position that kind of defines what's going on.
I have it. I'll be glad to read it into the record if you would
Well, it's
like me
gotta
to.
be specific.
Okay.
Um,
This is it all right with everybody if I read this into the record so everybody could hear what the deputy city manager would be doing, what their responsibilities are? Okay. Assist the city manager in the day-to-day supervision of municipal department operations of either a general nature. Assist the city manager with the oversight of special projects or project grants to ensure their timely completion and fiscal accountability. Assist the city manager in planning for the effective utilization of available funds, personnel, equipment, materials, and supplies. Assist the city manager in supervising the maintenance of records, showing the expenditure of funds by the departments through interaction and coordination with department heads and the city's finance department. Attend various internal and external meetings related to municipal affairs on behalf of the city manager and report back on participation, contact, follow-up actions as required. Prepares memos, public information announcement, narrative reports, data collection, statistical analyses, and policy recommendations for consideration by the city manager as assigned. Serve as the city manager's budget team in preparation and review of the annual municipal operating and capital budgets. Serve as the city manager's liaison in coordinating with municipal professionals, contractors, and outside agencies as required. Assist the city manager in advising the local governing body on matters of policy and other administrative matters. Serve as liaison with local agencies, community councils, religious and civic organization, and other groups and institutions as needed to perform assignments. Prepare comprehensive reports and supervises the establishment and maintenance of detailed records and files of assigned tasks and projects. Assist the city manager in researching and installing modern management methods and systems for all departments. Act for and in place of the city manager in his or her absence, and performs such other functions, powers, and duties as may be assigned to the city manager. And just to add, this is a city that has very complex operation. We are now, approaching a budget of well over almost $80 million. It's a very big job, and a lot of people that have to be monitored, and grants to go after. And we all want a lot of things for this city, and this is something that we had voted before. Now we're expanding the position to deputy, and you'll soon be hearing about this salary. So, but these are the duties and responsibilities. They were all here. Now, can we? I thought we had a motion and a second, but evidently I'm wrong.
Yeah, I moved.
Okay, can we vote? Roll call.
I moved, yeah.
I really thought we did. Okay, may we vote? Roll call.
Councilman Cobb?
No.
Councilman Rosenzweig?
Yes.
Councilman Wilson?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wasatski?
Yes.
Council President Marin?
Yes. Okay, you're up. Okay, now, this is ordinance 23-06. Yancy, you want to read that?
This is an ordinance amending 22-07 entitled Fixing the Maximum Annual Salaries to be Paid to Officers and Employees in the Unclassified Service of the City of Englewood as of January 1, 2023.
Okay, this is what I was talking about before. Anyone that would, this is the public hearing. If you would like to comment on the salaries, please come up, give us your name, your address. And as I say, if there are questions or comments, we will try to answer those at the end, after everyone has spoken.
Again, my same question. I mean, is this you're changing the name to deputy city manager. What was the individual making before the name change? What was his salary?
Should I answer?
Yes, please.
All right, there's nobody in the position. This is a new position, and the salary range is $130,000 to $165,000.
For a deputy city manager?
Yes.
Yeah, Rick Wilby, Englewood, New Jersey again. What departments would be considered unclassified?
No, it's just,
Could you answer that, Bob?
yeah, it's just, Mr. Wilby, it's not a department. It's the individuals. It's
Okay,
anybody-
well, what
it's-
individuals?
It's anybody that's not in a union.
Okay.
So it's basically, it's department heads, people of that nature.
Okay, is the court administrators and people that work in the court, they considered unclassified?
I believe so.
Okay, because I've attended a few budget meetings, and I've seen some of the raises that you've given to the court administrators and the court employees. And it seems to me a little bit discriminatory, the raises that you give to certain people that don't deserve the raises versus people that work in certain departments that you've deemed unfavorable and you don't pay them accordingly. There are some people, and we had this discussion because I attended a few of the budget meetings, that have been working diligently for years and are not making the proper amount, no cost of living increases, nothing fair. Quite often we see where these things are used as a punishment to people that the city has deemed unfavorable. You understand that, Mr. Hoffman?
This is the first time you and I are talking
Okay,
about.
so I'm
this.
telling you, right, if you go back and you look at what some of your police officers are making, some of your fire department people, your assistant deputy city manager is going to make, and when you look at some of these people that have the proper credentials to be in those positions versus the people that don't have the proper credentials versus some of the criminals in the police department that murder our kids, what they make and the increases that they make, the drunk ones that, you know, beat up themselves and say Teaneck did it, get promoted to lieutenant. When you look at stuff like that, right, versus what you give to hardworking people in the court and the so-called unclassified people that work on the plantation, those people are not being compensated correctly. Now, I know that some of them have to pick their weight in cotton, okay, but they're not that heavy, okay? So you guys should be fair, and quite often you're not fair to these people that should be getting compensated accordingly, okay? And it happens over and over again. This is something you should investigate, Mr. Hoffman. You should ask yourself why some of these folks that work in certain departments are being treated this way. I think that's why the DPW guys are here. You understand? Because, you know, quite often we use things like that to teach people lessons and to play the games under the color of law. And we're on to the city. We know what's going on. Especially people like me that come to these meetings and have gone to the budget meetings and know the ins and outs of what's going on in Englewood. So please look into it.
Do you know the county averages for the,
Excuse me. could-
Marcellus Samaderas, Montclair? Do you know the county averages for, the deputy manager?
Yes, there's not that many, but, yeah, I have that information back at the office.
And how is the salary you're offering compared to that?
Well, we haven't offered anybody the position. It was just created tonight.
I know the range that you all indicated tonight between, I believe it was 130 and 165.
130 to 165.
How does that salary compare?
It's, we believe that it's a fair salary, and we will get good candidates in that salary range. All right, it's the city, I believe.
Is it comparable to what the other city deputy managers make?
Well, there's only, there are mostly assistant township administrators. There's not a whole lot of deputy city managers in Bergen County. But the, your question is it based on the size of the city and the responsibility? Is this fair compensation?
No, I'm not saying if it's asking if it's fair. I'm saying is it comparable? Are they?
The answer is yes. It's comparable to assistant township administrators.
Thank you.
I'll be willing to volunteer my time for a
Reverend Givens. 2 questions, Madam Chair. In the past 2 years, has the workload for the present administration has grown to that extent
Yes.
to create a position for between $130,000 to $165,000? In the past 2 years, I think we should know what escalate the workload. We have been operating over these years, same departments, and in the past 2 years, the workload have excelled to $130,000 to $165,000. I question the council on that. And has the job been posted?
Could I say something? You ask if the workload has increased?
Increase.
I said that.
You said decrease.
The answer is, if you have a very active, proactive person like Barb Hoffman at the helm, yes, it's increased enormously. Just look outside. Just look at what's going on in Englewood. What's been the areas that he's working in and he has discovered since he's been here. The answer is we went for almost, I was not on I've only been on the council for a little over 2 years. However, we were rudderless. We did not have city managers. We had interim managers. We had a manager for a year. It was not the way it is right now. Now we have a manager that's grabbed the reins and he's driving this horse. And this is a city that has a lot of areas to work in. He's going now he didn't ask me, this is not anything that I prepared, but I'm telling you the truth. You know, when you have someone who's really got his heart and soul in the job and is looking at all of this, it would be terrific if he had a second in command to get more grants, to go after more programs, you know, to observe what's going on all over the city. We're discovering all kinds of things that should have been improved years ago, and this will benefit all of us. And the answer is, has the job grown? Yes. Yes.
Thank you. To $130,000.
Yes, yes.
Okay. But the second answer to the Reverend is no, the job has not been posted because it was just approved tonight.
But it will be.
Eventually.
Oh, of course, it has to
Eventually,
be,
yeah.
yes.
Okay, Al Trustee, 33 Farm Street, Englewood. Mr. Hoffman I know this man is trying hard here in Englewood, right? I know this is already going to go on for him to have an assistant, shall we call it. Okay, then I suggested he can get some help, because we're not going to stop it anyway. But take for instance these potholes that's going on around Englewood. It's tearing my car all to pieces, and other people too. But I mean, if he's trying, I mean, we need to give him some help. So, and you're gonna do it anyway, so it's not gonna stop. So he needs some help because he's trying to do some things. But we gotta address this pothole situation, because I know everybody here, cars getting torn up. This is out of control here. Now, I came before and talked about it. You know, I bought $2,500 struts on my car, and I'm getting ready to buy some more. Because, I mean, this is what's going on in Englewood. So is that gonna be addressed by the same position here? Is he gonna get some help, is what I'm saying. Because we gotta do something here. Can't leave it like this. I don't know if anybody has been down to the other side when you go, I'll tell you the street. When you're gonna go to Route 4 East, off of Forest Avenue, just before Route 4, have you seen the potholes over there? It's like graves. It's not even potholes anymore. And it cannot, and you could go all around Englewood. So are we doing something about it? Let's go. I mean, it's warm now, Mr. Hartman, so I know the plants are open. So let's fill some potholes, let's do something here. This man needs some help. So we gotta do something, but they're not gonna stop this position. Okay, and tell everybody they're gonna do that. But I want him to get some help. We need some help here. Okay, they're gonna give him a salary anyway. But we need some help. Okay? There we go. Thank you, Mr. Hartman, and thank you.
My name is Jules Shears, and I live in that area that he's just speaking about. The area there is...
Could you give me your name?
Jules
Could you just
Shears, Forest Avenue. Jules Shears. I live in that area, and you know they're putting up...
I hate to do this to you, but we're talking about the ordinance that has to do with the
No, I
salary.
want to basically kind of, speak about this because, it's to the point where you can't even drive down the street. You got to go around the corner, around the block, just to basically get someplace, which is just unreal. Then they're putting up this 5-building monstrosity over there by Route 4. That's another whole situation, and I think that's what's causing the problem. But I just want to make everybody aware that something has to be done because you can't even ride down certain streets, and it's just unreal.
Okay. Thank you. All right. Any other comments on the salary ordinance?
I'd like to apply for the job. I worked for 27 years. I have a master's degree, and all I had to do was sit for my doctorate, and I never made $135,000. I think that is too high a beginning salary. Yes.
Thank you.
Jerry Chambers, Garden Street. My first question is, was there a feasibility study done to determine the need for an assistant deputy?
A feasibility study?
Feasibility study?
Not to the best of my
Well, how
knowledge.
did you determine that he needs an assistant? I mean, you keep saying that, there's so much work, but how can you substantiate that? I mean, because we're the ones that have to pay the taxes. If you keep hiring employees at 130, 160, our taxes are going up. So, I mean, it has to be something to substantiate you hiring somebody at that rate.
I don't...
And then you said there's no other assistant city managers in Bergen County. So how can a city with 25,000 people justify hiring somebody at their assistant at that rate? It don't make sense.
I believe there were only 5 city managers in Bergen County.
We're talking about assistant.
We have a different form of government than many of the towns, and a lot of the responsibilities are in his office. He is the boss. He has determined that this city has that need, and as long as he's doing a good job, we have to support him.
Yeah, but we're the ones that have to pay the taxes,
Well,
okay? You have to support him, but it needs to be substantiated that there's a need for an assistant, first of all. He just got here. He's still learning the dynamics of running this city. So all of a sudden, he's here for 6 months, and then he determines he needs help at the $160,000. I pay taxes here, okay? I've been here for 25 years, and we have to pay taxes, and the taxes are escalating every year. So when you hiring somebody at that rate, it has to be some justification. That's just common sense.
Yeah.
Mr. Hoffman has something.
No, thank you. Your comments are well thought out. There was, This was discussed in 2022 before I got here, but there had been an analysis that was done by one of my predecessors, by Ms. Thompson, and
she was just interim, correct?
and she, yes, she was, and then she came back here and she was helping out in human resources. But, again, this was there was an analysis that was done back in 2021 and 2022, and that was discussed with the council in 2022.
So between those two titles, city manager and assistant city manager, we're gonna have to pay over $300,000 for those two titles?
No. We changed the assistant position to a deputy. That was what we just did.
Okay, well.
There's only one.
Okay, I said it wrong. Between the city manager and the deputy city manager, we're gonna have to pay over $300,000 for those two titles?
Yes, but the good news is that more than 300,000 has been saved by the efforts of the city manager.
In what capacity?
That's true.
In saving grants for the city, and then in looking.
Okay, in terms of grants, can't you hire independent grants writers to come in and write grants for the city also? You don't have to have that internally?
Correct.
So why don't we consider doing that also?
Well, we've done that, but what I was talking about is we had grants that we were about to lose. So we had grants that we were going to lose, and they've now been saved. So that's one reason. That's one way that both positions are justified, because they have looked and they have helped save the city money.
And you can quantify that?
I can, and I quantified that already to the city council.
Can you give us a report on how you quantified how much money was saved? Is there anything that can document that?
At a future meeting, I can, sure.
Okay, thank you.
I'm just reminding you, this is just on the city manager, the deputy city managers, the salary for those people.
Okay, I actually didn't come here for this. I came for the plastic case, but I'm a city employee in the city of New York for 32 years. I don't even make half of the salary that you all are proposing here. So I would consider that, and the district manager in Harlem, which is much bigger than the city of New York, makes approximately $65,000. So I would consider not using the taxpayers' money to pay that type of money to a city manager.
Amen.
Ray, please come to the mic. Those positions do not get overtime. They're not paid by the hour. They're not hourly workers. Okay, I'm assuming there are no more questions or comments. We're going to take a motion, and then we'll have comments by the council. I just said that. Okay. Charles, first we're going to do a motion, and then we'll ask for your comment. Can we have a motion, please? Can we have
So
a
moved.
We have a second?
I'll second.
Okay. Charles?
Discussion.
So, at the last meeting, I brought this up about, at the last meeting, can you hear me now? At the last meeting, I brought this up about the unclassified employee. And Mr. Hoffman, before he got here, his predecessor, Matt Watkins, were gonna do a study. My concern is, we always give everybody else what they want, but the unclassified doesn't have an advocate. We got people that work at the city of Englewood who are hourly employees who haven't had raises or anything in a very long time. What I want here in the city of Englewood is a fair pay workplace. Everybody should be treated the same. When we go through the budget process, this is the opportunity to right that ship. All our employees should be at least somewhere in the market. That's how you retain employees. That's how you keep morale pretty good, because everybody knows, that they're making a fair wage. In this environment that we live in today, equal pay, fair pay, and all that is in play. I would hope that this is a consideration to take an effort to look and review what our employees are making. And if somebody needs to be brought up to market, that we do the right thing to bring them up to market.
Thank you.
Since we want to bring on a deputy between 130 and 160,000, let's take care of the people we got here first.
Mr. Hoffman, go ahead.
I think that that's what's important. You know, I think that what gets lost, you know, in all of this is that the unions fight for their members, which rightfully so they should do. But unclassified people, they don't have nobody fighting for them. So the expectation is that I would hope that the administration or the folks here would fight for them as well. We want to make sure everybody feels good about coming to work. Because the worst thing you can do is not feel good coming to work, and you spending half your day coming to work. So I would hope, and I have asked Mr. Hoffman to do the analysis, and people who are underwater, that they be brought up to where they need to be. And I would also ask that this ordinance, they need to spell check this ordinance as well. The employees, that word is misspelled wrong. But I hope, it is my hope that we will bring people up to speed. I think it's important. Thank you.
Thank you, Charles. Mr. Hoffman would like to say something.
Yes, thank you, Council President. My predecessor did a salary analysis that was shared with the governing body. The recommendations that he made are incorporated into the proposed 2023 budget. I've also taken a look at some positions that I believe may have been missed, and I've asked our HR director to take a look and make sure and do an overview and make sure that that our staff members that are unrepresented are fairly compensated. So that's part of what the HR department will be doing for the first part of the year, and then if we need to, we will wind up making adjustments. But
will we be able to share that with the public when it's done?
you know, I'm not sure. It's
I know we have to check.
it's personnel.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's perfect. But my question is, why are we gonna wait till the first of the year when we're gonna approve the budget
Well,
in April or May?
Well, the recommendations would be retroactive to the first of the year.
That's good. Everything
Yeah,
will
but
be
that-
retroactive.
Why even do that if we know we're gonna take care of it? Why don't we just take care of it once the budget has been adopted? Why wouldn't it be in there so we can do that and we don't have to reserve those dollars? Just make sure people are whole, so they're feeling good about whatever, or line it up to how we line up the contracts, so everything is done at one time, so we don't have to have it done all over the course of the year. Make it easier for everybody who's involved in that. When we look at salaries, we look at the contracts, we say this is the time that we're gonna do it. We do it all at one time, we take care of whatever we gotta take care of, so when we pass it all at one time, you know. But I think waiting and reserving for it, that means that's money that we tie up, as opposed to, once we've identified those people, we take care of that right away. And then we line it up for whenever the contracts are due, whenever the talks are due. You have all that as a package, and we take care of it all at one time.
And yeah, thank you, Councilman. Our goal is to have it all done by May when the budget's adopted.
And then they'll be paid retroactively to the first.
of the year because
the first of the year.
That's money we have to lock up, though, as opposed to.
No, but I
put it
think
there.
they've already taken care of that.
No.
In anticipation.
Oh, she's saying that you locked the money up already?
No, I meant,
No, that's what you're saying, but he's saying no.
The budget has to be adopted.
No. I'm saying, she's saying that the money's been locked up for the people already who are underwater.
no, I didn't mean to individual numbers, Charles. I meant
Listen.
there is, they know how to deal with the budget so that once.
I know how to deal with the budget too, so.
I do, so
Let me just
you
say
should
that.
be understanding what I'm saying.
I get that, but I'm saying to you, I brought this up about the unclassified, about people not getting paid a fair wage. I got the calculations. That's what I'm saying. Nobody I brought this up to Matt Watt.
I agree, you
So
definitely
what I'm
did.
saying to you is, we line it up all at one time, going forward, so that we don't have to reserve, that we take care of everybody, we take care of the whole city at one time. This is what I'm saying, line it up.
I
Everything
agree.
takes
I
care of
agree
that.
with you.
That's all I'm saying. And also, you can spell employees right.
Okay,
on-
well,
On the ordinance.
okay. Does anyone?
Thank you.
Go ahead, Ken.
Yeah, the Reverend stepped out, but he had asked about, is there more work that needs to be done? And I think the very simple answer is look at our capital budget. It doubled. So that's work that needs manpower to administer. And it's a lot of work to administer the capital budget, and you need people to do it. And a lot of the capital budget is going to be paid for by FEMA. FEMA is very slow. FEMA takes a lot of oversight to get the payment. I know of entities that have still not been paid back for work that was done for Hurricane Sandy, so that's over a decade ago now.
It's true.
And these entities have a standing phone call with FEMA once a week to keep the paperwork pushed along. I don't think we'll need that level of diligence, but it just shows you that this position will pay for itself, because we have a lot of grant money that's you're gonna have to do a lot of work to get it. I deal with grants every day. If you don't dot all the I's and cross all the T's, they don't give you the money. So you can't double the amount of capital work being done in town and quadruple the amount of grant money that we're getting and not put the equivalent personnel to make sure that's happening. So this is something I'm wholeheartedly supporting.
Thank you, Ken. Anybody else on the council want to say anything? Okay, roll call.
Councilman Kopp?
Yes.
Councilman Rosenzweig?
Yes.
Councilman Wilson?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wasatski?
Yes.
Council President Marin?
Yes. Okay, Yancy, we're going to ordinance 23-07. Do you want to read that one?
This is an ordinance amending Chapter 191, Fee Schedule, Section 191-11 regarding Police Department extra duty fees within the city of Englewood.
Okay, I'm opening up the public hearing. Once again, if you have something to say about this, please come forward. We need your name, your address, and questions or comments will be answered as we can.
Madam,
Oh, yes.
Madam Council President, if I may, I could explain the purpose of this
Sure,
ordinance.
sure.
All right, this ordinance is to reduce the fees. It's to eliminate the administrative fee and vehicle fees that are charged by the city for when there's special duty for the schools or for houses of worship. So this is actually to reduce. If the council adopts this, it will cost the school district, it will cost the schools in the city, and it will cost the houses of worship less when they need to have police officers for special duties. So this is something I would ask that the council consider and pass.
Thank you. Okay, we're opening things up. Anyone that would like to comment, please?
All right. Yeah, Rick Wilby, Englewood, New Jersey. You know, when these things come up on the agenda, I always hear about your collective bargaining. Every time the police are getting more money or not. Why are these things, negotiated in your collective bargaining agreement with the police department? I mean, this is so-called saving who are the houses of worship anyway? I thought they got to pay for their own security. But who are they? Because I know they're not down by me. I don't see them over at McCoy's church. Who's getting the services? That's what I want to know.
Mr. Hoffman, do you know specifically?
Yeah, it's in Section 1, services for schools located within the city of Englewood and houses of worship located
Specifically,
within
what
the city of Englewood.
schools?
The city of Englewood.
'Cause every time, huh?
Public and private. When they require a policeman for an event or for construction.
So you guys are trying to save money?
We're not saving, we're saving them money so they don't have to
Okay,
pay
well, listen,
for
do
it.
you guys see what happened in Nashville? Okay, schools need
dealing with
more.
Englewood
They
right
need
now.
more resources. You know what I'm saying? Not less
No,
resources.
No, no. We're not we're charging them less or not at all.
Oh, okay. All right, I thought somebody was making money. I get nervous in Englewood, 'cause I know it's not corrupt or
just-
nothing.
This is the opposite. We're
All right, every time you
removing
guys
the
talk
fee.
about money, and you guys are talking about money, you're talking about how much everything has gone up. But if you guys maybe did good business and stopped, messing with people, they wouldn't be suing you every 2 seconds. A big part of the problem here in Englewood is litigation. Because you got all these criminals that are running things that don't do the right thing.
Thank you, Mr. Wilby.
You're gonna reduce the fees, I'm sorry, William Satterfield, Dean Street. What are the price of the fees now? Is it hourly fee? How does it work?
You want me to read it?
Sure. Good.
Okay. This is at the extra duty hourly rate. This is not that Englewood gets. It's $85 per hour for a policeman.
That's with a car?
The administrative fee, there's no change, it's $30 per job. And the vehicle fee is $15 per vehicle, except services for schools located within Englewood and houses of worship located in the city of Englewood. There will be no administrative fee and no vehicle fee. They eliminated those.
So it would just be the $85 for the officer?
For houses of worship and schools.
That's an hour. Is there a minimum? For some towns, I know Patterson, they try to jack you up with a half-a-day minimum.
Yes, there is a 4-hour minimum for the
That's what I
police
thought.
officers.
Right. So,
This is nothing, this is their fee.
so
their
how much
rate.
you gonna reduce, so he still gets paid
Right.
$85 an hour? That's his regular salary?
Mr. Satterfield, I don't know, I'm reading to you from the sheet. But I
Mr.
do
Hoffman,
know
is
we've
that-
eliminated the fee for
Right.
the houses of worship, all houses of worship,
Right.
and all schools, public and private.
So when you say that, how many officers could they get? As many as they can afford the $85 for?
They did, yes.
Is that the regular hourly rate for a
I
police
don't know.
officer? Or is that overtime? Because it's usually an overtime event, right, with the officers?
Mr. Satterfield, I don't know.
I'm
We're-
asking Mr. Hoffman, I'm sorry.
Yeah, this would be overtime or off-duty time,
Uh-huh.
and it's a blended rate. So whatever the officer's rate of pay is, they're going to get $85 an hour
It doesn't matter
to
what
work
they're
to work for that.
All right.
All right.
I'm just Marcellus Simidaris Montclair. So the policemen have the ability to make money, but the town now eliminates their ability because the town would receive the administration fee and the other fee. What was the other fee that you're getting rid of?
Yes, vehicle.
So when a church or a school hires security, 2 people are getting paid, the police and then the city, correct?
I don't know what you mean.
The fees, the administrative fee and the vehicle fee, the city collects that money.
Correct.
So what you're eliminating now is the money that the city gets.
Correct. For those two,
Yeah,
Okay.
but the police get the money,
Right.
get the same amount of money. So I understand that you wanted to reduce costs for schools and churches. I'm just wondering where that conversation came from. What made you, as a city council, think about doing that?
This came from some internal discussions, but it's also been done in other municipalities, and then we did an analysis that, when we took a look at it, we believed that it was worthwhile doing, and we would be able to cover the wear and tear on the cars through other, through other people, the for-profit that do use our private duty.
You said internal and other cities are doing it, that's what you said?
I said it was from internal discussions,
Mhm.
and it has been done in other municipalities as well.
Do you know which ones?
Yeah, it was done in Emerson when I was there, because I recommended that.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, Diane Jansen, 589 Ridgeland Terrace. I'm a product of parochial and public education. I believe that anything that is not city-related should be charged in full for our costs. I believe churches, synagogues, and any other nonprofits that require our services should pay. I do not believe the schools, the public schools should pay, but I believe private schools should. When my son and I, as a younger person, attended private school, our private schools paid, and I believe that that should continue.
Thank you very much. Okay. Is there anyone else that wants to speak on this? Okay, so ordinance 23-07, let's have a motion. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second? I second. Go ahead, Yancy.
Discussion.
Oh, discussion, I'm sorry, I keep forgetting. Does anyone want to say anything? Okay, could we have a roll call?
Councilman Kopp?
Yes.
Councilman Rosenzweig?
Yes.
Councilman Wilson?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wasatski?
Yes.
Council President Marin?
Yes, thank you. Okay, this is a first reading. Ordinance number 2308. Yancy, do you want to read that?
This is an ordinance amending Chapter 191, Fee Schedule of the Code of the City of Englewood, Section 191-12, Recreational Facilities and Programs.
Okay. Okay, first we'll do the, do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second? Is there a second?
Yeah.
Do we have a motion? I
Ken.
think it was Ken. I second it. Okay, roll call.
Discussion.
No one
On the
has a
first
hand.
reading.
Does anyone want to discuss
Discussion on
the
the first reading.
fees for recreation?
The council can.
Go ahead.
Okay. Yes, Council President, this ordinance would amend fees that are for non-residents only, not for residents that use recreation facilities, but for non-residents that use recreation facilities. And it's basically for the arena rental, so it's for use in the arena, and these fees are how we help offset some of the costs and some of the programs that we are able to provide for our city residents.
Okay. All right. Could we have any roll call?
Councilman Kopp?
We're raising fees for non-residents.
Yes. Yes.
Yes, okay. Councilman Rosenzweig?
Yes. Councilman
Wilson?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wasatski?
Yes.
Council President Marin?
Yes. Okay, ordinance 23-09. Nancy, want to read that?
Council President, just a point of order. Before the meeting, there was some discussion. I'd spoken to Mr. Hoffman about possibly tabling this motion.
Okay.
This ordinance introduction, rather.
Right, we wanted to tweak the wording.
Right. Do we have to vote on?
So you need a motion to table.
Okay. Can we have a motion to table this item? It's going to be refined.
I make a motion that we table that.
I second. Can we have a roll call on that?
Councilman Kopp?
Yes.
Councilman Rosenzweig?
Yes.
Councilman Wilson?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wasatski?
Yes.
Council President Marin?
Yes. Okay, this is a first reading for ordinance 2310. Yancy, you want to read it?
This is the capping.
This is a calendar year 2023 ordinance to exceed the municipal budget appropriation limits and to establish a cap bank under NJSA 48:4-45.14.
Okay, Bob, would you like to explain that?
Thank you, Council President. Yes, this This is a cap bank resolution that's done every year. It's basically for the appropriations cap, and it's a 2-year rolling average for the city. So this is something the city can use in an emergency if there's some kind of a natural disaster that you need additional funds for. It raises the cap limit from 2.5 to 3.5%, and for this year, the amount would be a maximum of $2,026,335.14. And again, this is done every year. The funds cannot be used unless the council authorizes that. So this is not a blank check, but this is basically considered a savings account. So, Council, our CFO, is there anything else that you'd like to add for that?
Just in this year's budget, we were $836,000 under the cap for appropriation. So, just wanted to add that.
Okay.
Okay. Can we have a motion?
So moved.
Second? Do we have a second? I second it. Go ahead, Yancy. Roll call.
Councilman Kopp?
Yes.
Councilman Rosenzweig?
Yes.
Councilman Wilson?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wasatski?
Yes.
Council President Marin?
Yes. Now we move to the resolution 115-0330-23. It's the resolution introducing the 2023 city budget. I guess first we'll have a motion and then we'll have comments. Can we have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Kevin seconded. Okay. Can we have discussion now? This is, Bob, I'm assuming you would like to speak to this?
Sure. Thank you. Thank you, Council President. Tonight, we're going to be introducing the 2023 city budget. The proposed budget is $74,413,656. $74,413,656. The budget represents a 1.95% increase in the city's portion of the residents' property tax bill. So this equates to a $117 increase over 2022. The budget is the culmination of a process that began in October of 2022. It included meetings with department heads and budget hearings with the City Council that were open to the public. The amount to be raised by taxation is $59,431,421, and this represents a 2.33% increase over the 2022 budget. The public hearing and vote on the budget will be held on Tuesday, May 2nd, 2023. The budget document and a fact sheet will be posted on the city's website tomorrow. This budget will fund recreation programs, health programs, the paving of roads, improvements to parks, and other services that our residents rely on, such as garbage and recycling collection, as well as disposal. During calendar year 2023, the city will be leveraging grant funding to pave additional roads, purchase equipment, and make improvements to public facilities. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Do we have a motion?
Already did that. We did
Okay,
discussion.
Charles, if you're raising your hand, I can't see it. Go ahead.
I think we're,
He's in it, there's a shadow. Okay, go ahead, please.
I think we're at the point with discussion, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
I have a couple of points that I want to make. Yeah. Maybe I'll take this down, you can hear me, right? So one of the points is, we really didn't talk about any debt management, how much we're paying down the debt. That's number one. Number two, the 1.9 is a little misleading. What is the total package bill for that's the municipal, but what are we paying collectively as a homeowner? That's what people need to understand. What are we paying there? So I think it's important that we talk about how much we're borrowing, what are we borrowing, and what's the formula? What has already been authorized, that shouldn't be in the surplus. What has already been completed that we paid for shouldn't be in the surplus. And I had a question where we were talking about anticipated revenues, and I believe in your letter was about $400-something thousand, and that was from Greater Englewood, which that number, I hope, was changed, because that was a payment backwards. As we go forward, that number, I think, is $125,000, if I'm not mistaken. So I just want to make sure that those questions were addressed. If you could address the debt payment and where we at, and what I want to know is long-term debt and the bands, convertible debt. And I think what we probably should have done is what our financial advisors have to explain that to the folks, because they need to know how much debt we're doing, how much we plan to pay down.
Sure, we can bring them in at the April meeting. We can see if they can come in. But to answer your question, the one about the range of the revenue, in January we contacted the company in question. It's they were anticipating that in 2023 the revenue would be larger. It's going to be a minimum of $125,000 each year going forward. This year they were estimating that it was going to be around $400,000.
We had a one-time payment. Mr. Bailey knows. We had a one-time payment with Greater Englewood, right? And at the meeting, the guy said that check, we got the check, the copy of the check, right? We're not getting that payment over and over again at that sum.
If I may, it's a percentage of their cash flow.
Right. Yeah.
So a little good news, yesterday, I received a check from them for about $200,000,
Right,
which
but-
I'm gonna bring. So it is an annual payment, it's just it will vary based on the
Right,
cash
so
flow.
we shouldn't put that anticipated revenue of 400,000. That's a problem. If it comes in 70,000 or 80,000, then we have a shortfall. I think it shouldn't be recorded that way, because then we have a donut. We have a hole in the donut, and how do we close that?
Yeah, I'm not a finance guy,
Right,
so.
that's what I'm saying. How do we close that? That's what I'm saying. If we spend something, we gotta pay it. We gotta pay it. And we should talk about, and Mr. Kaufman, as I see out the corner of my eye, we should talk about spending. Is spending up? That was one of the things you always did. You say, well, spending's up 10%. Is spending up? Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
But if spending's up, that means that we gotta pay for what we spent. And all I'm saying to you is, I think that discussion deserves to be given and letting the public know what spending's up as part of the budget, so we
Yeah, well-
understand because what happens is, right, if spending is up, okay, the next question will be, why is it up? Well, we did these
Yeah,
things.
I have a short
And we should
presentation.
be able to evidence these things. That's what I'm saying. I think it's just helpful for the public.
Excuse me,
Let me finish.
You know? So what is spending up versus last year?
4.77%.
4.87%. But when we went through the budget process, we had the budget meetings, we discussed this at the budget meetings, and we went through the revenues. Our revenues were up also at 17.65%. So we have a balanced budget. We're gonna get the money that we use for surplus. We're using 3.1 million. We'll regenerate that. So even though we're up 4.87% in expenditures, the tax increase is only 1.95%, which I think,
That's the municipal tax.
yes.
That's not everything.
We don't have, the school tax and the county tax did not come up with their rate yet.
No, I understand that.
Yeah.
I get that, but
Yeah.
I want to make sure that the public understands.
Yeah.
We don't have that rate yet.
Yeah.
But they got to pay that part of the bill too.
Yeah,
That one
this is
piece of it.
municipal, yeah.
It's a three-legged stool, right? So we got to get the county and we got to get the school, then we put it together. Then I think at such time, when we get all of those numbers, then we should go back to the public again and say, here's what it is finally, so they know. That's all I'm saying.
Charles, Mr. Hoffman has prepared something that,
They don't have the numbers yet, he just said that, until they get them.
No, not for the
Right.
not for the school.
Right.
So yeah,
Can I ask
we
a
only have the
question before you
city
sit down?
numbers. If you want, we can wait until we get the whole numbers, but we have our city numbers.
No. The city, you said, we know that number, we got that, I'm saying, but we need to communicate and be fully transparent and say, here's what we got when we get to school in the county.
Correct.
Then that's the final tax number. That's all I'm saying.
The
It
tax
just
bills
said-
also have it on.
Huh?
When the tax
No,
bills go out, that also has it on.
Understood, but that's what I'm saying. If people walk away from here now, and they say 1.9, whatever,
All right.
and then they get their tax bill and it says 2 point whatever, they're gonna be like, well, wait a minute, that don't line up. And if they understand it now, because we're communicating that, they'll say, okay, the other parts, the county and the school haven't been calculated yet. So now they got the complete picture once they get that. That's all I'm saying. You don't wanna
Correct.
have surprises where you have people coming to the tax office saying, hey, this is wrong. You know, that's what I'm saying.
If you want, yeah. If you, Madam, if you want, I have a short presentation, but it's just about our city budget.
Judy, Kevin wanted to ask my board question before you sat down.
Kevin, I'm sorry. You want to ask it before Bob?
Yes, it's gonna be brief.
Excuse me, Bob. No, you can go there. Kevin just has a quick question for Michael.
Since we're on the topic of debt ratio, could you explain real quickly, Mike, on how it would affect, even though we've been having budget meetings throughout, we've also had crashes of banks. And can you tell us if that's going to affect our rate at any?
Well, we actually, Mr. Hoffman's going to talk about the ban sale that we had later in the meeting. So he's going to talk about the rates, that we actually got better rates than.
How long is the seal good for?
Is the what?
You said the band seal, how long is it good for?
Ban sale.
Band sale, okay, I'm sorry.
The bond anticipation note sale that we had, we got the rates, it's for a year, and then it rolls over. And we're going to go out probably for long-term debt next year. So Mr. Hoffman will go through that later in the meeting.
But I believe the councilman may have been asking about the safety of the banks that the city uses.
Absolutely.
So the city, the banks that the city uses, they're all FDIC insured. Our funds are insured, and we're having conversations with our financial advisors to make sure that we're, that we're looking at all of our all of the accounts that we have to make sure that they're in the right banks. We're also going to be going out for banking services. We're going to be doing an RFP for banking services this coming year because we haven't done that in a long time.
Okay. Because rates are changing.
All right, thanks. All right. So our city budget, the proposed budget, as I had said before, is $74,413,656. The overall increase from last year, which was part of the spending that Councilman Cobb was talking about, it's 4.87% greater than the 2022 budget. And this presentation will be on the website in the next couple of days. We're just going to, I want to make sure that we have some of our final capital budget numbers, and then we're going to be putting that on. So we're going to be talking with our engineer just about some of the final projects. So the budget will be using $3.1 million in surplus this year. Last year we used $3 million, so that's an increase of $100,000. But we will be able to regenerate at least $3.1 million in surplus, so that the city will not be in financial straits based on that. The state is in 2023 we received $2,782,397 in state aid. That's part of the energy tax. We receive that every year. This funding has been level for the last basically 10 or 12 years, and when we have our budget presentation in May, you'll see a slide where I've been calculating the loss of purchasing power based on the state aid staying the same. So when state aid stays the same over a 10-year period, you lose over 17% of your purchasing power. The Uniform Construction Code, we're anticipating $868,000 from that. Last year, there was $1.1 million in revenue that came in, so we can only anticipate the revenue that came in last year. There's a couple of projects that are closing early in this year, so we believe that in 2024, it will be the revenues from the UCC will be, between $940 and $1.1 million. We have fees and permits. That's at $265,000. It's slightly less than we had last year. And then the amount to be raised by taxes is $59,431,421. Last year it was $58,175,674. Some items of interest for the budget. Our overall salaries are $33 million. Last year they were $32 million. Basically, the increases for the contractual obligations. There were several contracts that were settled that had been delayed in settlement, and they've been settled. Our funding for the library stays flat. That's based on a percentage, and it's called millicents of the tax rate. Our garbage and recycling collection, it's at $1 million. Last year was at $1.1 million. Our leaf disposal is going up. We anticipate that it'll go up to $300,000. It had been $260,000. One of the things that we're looking to do is we have a transfer station at the DPW, and a number of years ago, the license was not renewed. So we're actively trying to get the license renewed so that we can open that, and that would help our DPW, and it would also become a source of revenue, because some of our sister communities would be able to use that, and then they would pay a fee for that. So we're working on that, and then we have capital improvements. That's the 5% down payment that we have in the budget. It's a little less than last year, but we have significantly more grant funding this year that we have received, and we're going to be able to use that so that we can do capital projects. Our pension expenses went up in 2020, will go up in 2023 over 2022. Social Security is up slightly. Healthcare costs for our employees is up significantly over 2022, and we're looking at other alternatives with our unions. This is something that if we would be able to join a health insurance fund, and we can maintain the same or similar coverage, we would look to do that. But that's something that's going to be investigated during the second half of the year. And then just all of our other costs, the O&E, it's down slightly, so it's $6,385,843, and our utilities are up by about $358,000. So that's basically it. There will be for the public meeting on May 2nd, we'll have a larger, we'll have more analysis, and we'll be happy to answer questions. If you have questions between now and then, please do not hesitate to email them to us so that we can have answers for you. So thank you very much.
Judy, we're still in the discussion stage. I have a question. Well, since he's in the middle of his presentation. Mr. Hoffman, is that the end? Yes. Okay, thank you so much. Lisa, you have a question or a comment?
Yes. I guess it's really directed to,
Pull the mic closer.
I have a question for Council President and Mr. Hoffman. I think it's on.
Here, you can use my mic.
But you're turning your head.
Hello?
That's good. That's good.
Okay. I have a question for Mr. Hoffman and for Council President Marin. I agree about the roads. The roads are terrible, and I don't want to wait until we pass the budget in May to start bidding out the repaving of the roads. And in the past, Mr. Hoffman, people, the earlier that the engineer bids out the paving of the roads, we're gonna get a better price and we can get it done earlier. So I wanted to propose that at our next council meeting, we take out that part of the capital budget that has to do with repaving the roads and pass that so we can move forward, get a better rate, and get our roads paved.
You want to answer that, Mr. Hoffman?
Actually, that's a good idea. That's something that was going to come up in my manager's report. I was going to ask that, recommend to the governing body that we introduce the capital ordinance in April so that it can be adopted in May. There's an estoppel period of 20 days, so that means that we would be able to have funds available in June, at the beginning of June, to go out to bid for things. And that would help us. That's approximately 3 months earlier than last year's capital budget. So we will be able to get certain prices will be better, but we will be able to get equipment and do work before the end of the year. You'll also hear in my report about just the hoops we had to jump through to get 2 roads paved with grant funding, and that will alleviate that. So
I have a question.
Sure.
I'm not sure how technically this would work, but could we go out to bid sooner than that and using surplus funds and then repay the surplus from the capital?
No, the public contracts law. There are certain things that we have to do.
Okay.
So we can't. But you know what? We're going in the right direction, and hopefully in 2024 we'll be able to do the capital budget earlier, so that we'll be ready to do paving in May, and not the middle of the summer.
Thank you. Okay.
Thank you.
Does anyone else on the council have a question? Okay, I believe we're ready for a roll call.
Councilman Kopp?
Yeah.
Councilman Rosenzweig?
Yes.
Councilman Wilson?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wasatski?
Yes.
Council President Marin?
Yes. Okay, we're now, yes.
And Council President, if we could just make the point that the public hearing for this budget will be on May 2nd. And the reason it's going to be on May 2nd is the budget hearing has to be a minimum of 28 days after the budget is introduced. So that's why it's in May. But it's part of the budget law. There has to be a 28-day gap between introduction and public hearing.
Thank you very much.
Sure.
Okay, we are now moving into public comment on the agenda items. I don't know if you have a copy of the consent agenda.
Yes.
Okay. Once again, I know I'm being repetitious, but we need your name and your address. Please keep your comments or questions down to 3 minutes. I don't know what I'm thinking. And if we can answer or your questions or comments, we will at the end of the session. All right, anyone have any, as I say, I'm giving you a chance. It's a long list.
I don't have that list.
You don't have a list?
No.
The agendas are up there.
But it's probably some of the same stuff I had. People have mentioned it. Potholes on the list? No?
Well, potholes are on our list, but the asphalt plants they're opening this week. They were.
Oh, no, they've been open they're open all winter.
No,
Look, I was in asphalt. Wait a minute. I was in this business. So that doesn't make any sense at all. You can get cold asphalt all year long. So that on it. But I'm just saying, is that on the list? Is potholes part of what we're getting ready to do?
The answer is yes, but
All
just
right,
just
all
to
right,
just
that's
to
all.
no, just to make sure that we're on the same page. You're correct about the coal patch, and it blows out frequently, and that's frustrating. But we were trying to get 2 roads paved, and the asphalt plants were closed last week, and they were closed part of the week before, and that was frustrating for us. But they're supposed to be open full time starting this week.
Okay. Most of the streets that are bad, they've been bad for a while. So have they been in the budget for a while, like the last 2 or 3 years? Because the streets don't get bad overnight. So with all these bad streets, are any of them already out to bid? Or out last year even? No. Okay.
Well,
What about
I'm not sure. I'm not sure what all of the streets over the last 2 years, but
Well, if you don't live in town, this is why I've always been an advocate for people to live in town who work in town. All you do is live here, they're all over the place. Second thing I got.
I
is the
understand, but I will say that South Van Brunt is one of the streets that I know is on the list. It was supposed to be paved last year, but it was postponed to this year.
There's Dean Street, there's Grand Avenue, there's Broad Avenue. There's almost every street. It's ridiculous for a town of supposedly our stature in the county. I don't understand. Here's a major thing for me. The railroad tracks. They're disgusting, every one of them. What goes on, I keep hearing, we talk to the railroad company, they don't listen. We have to have other people than you who can go talk to these people. Who have you spoke to? What senator, we have people from the state who should be able to take care of these things. Who have we talked to? Because listen, let me tell you this. If we had a bad winter, and you had our equipment going over these railroad tracks, it would have tore the equipment up. The tracks are out of the ground. That's ridiculous. That shouldn't happen anyway.
Mr. Satterfield, this is not on the consent agenda.
Understood.
You
but-
could talk.
All right, well, we're gonna have this later? I can say this later?
Yes. No, the general comments are at the end of the agenda, where you could talk about anything. This is just on the consent agenda. There are many, many items on it.
Amy Bullock, Howland Avenue, Englewood. 3 things really quickly. I see that there is a resolution rejecting all bids for Liberty School painting. If Mr. Hoffman could talk a little bit about what the initiative is around that bid. That's one thing. If Councilwoman Wasatski could share with us the data on the Recreation Advisory Committee, how many, by ward, the breakdown by ward of the committee members, and share how the council selected who would be the chair of the committee. Appreciate you following the ordinance. And then, I'm sure you're gonna do this, but I'm gonna ask it anyway. Is the resolution honoring Mr. Calvin gonna be pulled out from the consent agenda, voted on separately and read?
Who's that?
The resolution for Mr. Calvin.
Mr. Coffin.
Coffin.
I will
Okay.
I will do that.
Okay,
I will do that.
thank you.
Hi, Diane Jansen. I'm interested in understanding why there's a resolution approving a waiver or a variance from stormwater management rules. Thank you.
Could you tell me which item that was?
Yes. Yes, 118, and it's regarding ERA South.
Okay, thank you very much.
Which floods.
Okay.
Hello, Marcellus, Semidaris Montclair. I was just wondering if you could give some information on the.
I can't hear you. Could you get closer
Sorry,
to the mic?
if you
Yeah.
can give some information on the resolution for the, oh my God, I lost it, that, it was for that, junior police, program.
Right, 1:30.
When-
Thank you.
And
Yes.
just to give some, information about that, I know that we do want to, repair some of the relationships, and I know that sometimes cities do that, through having relationships with the youth. But, there are also other grant monies out there, and I know sometimes people take, and I'm not saying that this is it, because I see it's coming from the Law and Public Safety, office, but I've seen, like in the city of Patterson, them take grant money and use it for community policing, where that same grant money, in Newark, they used it to pay children to do action research so that the children can collect their own data and advocate for themselves at the committee of, for the public school, Joint Committee on Public Schools. So while I appreciate, you're looking to create programs for the youth, and I can appreciate that you're trying to probably repair some of the relationships that have been caused by, police killing people in the streets here in Englewood. But I think we need to examine the program and make sure it's appropriate. And I also would suggest that you look for grants outside of public safety that will empower children. Thank you.
Thank you.
Does anybody, but do you know anything about the program? I just want to know, do you know anything about the program?
I'm writing that, we'll answer. Okay.
Yeah, Rick Welby, Englewood, New Jersey. I'm also concerned about 130. For one, the Office of the Attorney General is currently investigating the Englewood Police, so it's really convenient that all of a sudden now we're trying to get some kind of a grant from the Office of the Attorney General. It just seems a little bit improper to me. Like, to me, prevention is better than cure. So I don't recall in my many years of coming here that the State Attorney General's office has ever been petitioned for a grant for any program here in the city of Englewood. So it just doesn't seem right to me. It seems like somebody's trying to get the Attorney General's office in the back room to exchange some envelopes, and I could be wrong, but I hope I'm not right. Opioid settlement with pharmacies. Who's getting that money and how much is it? I need an answer. Anybody know?
Well, I'm waiting till you finish.
Okay. And I also want to know about this resolution awarding to Business Systems Unlimited for information technology consultant competitive contract, a fair and open award. I want to know who owns Business Systems Unlimited Incorporated, and who is this person? Who they're going to be spying on? Resolution approving a waiver variance for section 374-7. I want to know about that also too. Diane Jensen asked about that also, but I want to know, what are we waiving and how could we waive something as far as stormwater management is concerned? But I'm extremely concerned about, at this time in the history of Englewood, how the State Attorney General is giving money to the city of Englewood, why we're petitioning them now at this time, where we have a police officer that's under investigation by the State Attorney General. That just seems to me like some stuff that Michael Wiles would do. Let me know.
Thank you, Mr. Wilby. Do we have any other questions? Okay.
All right.
Go ahead.
All right. Close the public hearing.
Oh, well, we want to answer some questions. Okay, I'm going to close the public session since there's no one else. All right, you want to get started, Mr. Hoffman?
Sure. There was a question about the Liberty School painting, and this was actually something that former Councilman Hamer and Councilman Cobb had discussed last year, where Liberty School is, one of the focal points of the city, and while it's vacant, if we could spruce it up, it would be a benefit to the city. So we went out to bid for painting services for that. There was a budget that we had established. We had several painting contractors that bid, but they all of the bids were exceeded what our estimates were for that. So we're going to take another look at that, reconfigure the bid, and we will try it again. But it was just to paint the windows, make it look nicer, and then just make the building more attractive while and improve the grounds, but make the building more attractive as we analyze what's going to be the next step for that structure. So that was the reason for that bid. There was another question that was about, I guess, should I just answer all the questions that I know?
Sure.
All right.
Business systems, you want to talk?
Business systems, that is, we went out to bid for that. There was a competitive contract that was done. There were at least four companies that bid on the city's business. The Business Systems is the current vendor. That's Mr. Forst, and they were the best. They were the best value for the city. So it's a free country. He's entitled to bid like any other business. There was another question, I guess, that Mr. Wilby had asked about an opioid settlement, and this is something that the city became aware of last week. There's a settlement with pharmacies such as CVS, Rite Aid, Walgreens, and there's a deadline of April 18th for municipalities to apply to be to receive funding for this settlement. We don't know how much the settlement will be, but tomorrow I will wind up looking at it. There's several actions that have to happen, but we're going to apply if the resolution is adopted so that the city can participate in whatever the settlement is. This is basically phase 2. There had been a settlement with the pharmaceutical companies, so this is phase 2. This is with the retail establishments. So that's why we're doing it. And then let's see. There's a grant for the Junior Police Academy with this. The police department has a Junior Police Academy. A grant. It's every summer. They receive grant funding for it. So this is this will help us fund the Junior Police Academy this summer. Did I miss anything, Council President?
I can address 118,
Yeah.
Council President.
Sure, please.
118, this is the item regarding the waiver relating to the stormwater management regulations. Just quickly by way of background, the ERA South site, there's a few vacant lots there still. They were approved for certain levels of development years ago. In the interim, the DEP has changed the stormwater regs they're now more stringent. So as part of that, some of that property is no longer developable. It has to remain vacant. This waiver, what that is instead of them having to go back to the DEP or even the city for a formal variance, if they demonstrate a mitigation plan that's sufficient, which they've done to present it to Mr. Volsi, it's about that component. This is about $100,000 in stormwater mitigation they have to do. They get a quote waiver, meaning they don't have to go back to the DEP. DEP has reviewed this. Our engineer has reviewed this. Mr. Hindman, who's the attorney for ERA, is in the audience if anyone has any questions of him. So really this is in furtherance of stormwater management and helps with further mitigation that, in this case, ERA has to pay for.
Okay. Should we call for anybody who wants to question Mr. Hyman?
Mr. Hyman, did you want to add anything, or?
No, I think you.
I don't know if I captured it correctly,
Yeah,
but.
just to clarify that that $100,000 of mitigation, that's a payment to the city so that they can deploy whatever goals in terms of water quality or water quantity mitigation devices that they deem necessary. Because again, we had proposed to develop 2 lots
Mr. Iron, can you just come to the mic, just it's not picking up on the recording?
We don't have to pay for this, do we?
No, they're giving
No,
us.
you're getting a payment from the developer in lieu of the developer constructing additional
Closer to the
mitigation
mic.
devices on site. So, sure. So I'm not an engineer, so I'm going to speak this very broadly. So this has to do with stormwater management. And the DEP regulates two different types of activities. It's the actual retention and discharge, that's water quantity, and then the particulate matter that's in the water, that's water quality. We're talking about when we construct a building, there's impervious coverage. So instead of the water going into the ground and getting absorbed, it hits roofs, it hits sidewalks, and then it goes into the storm drains. So we're talking about addressing that stormwater runoff created by the site. So we are addressing the stormwater runoff on the site. We're not developing one of the
Parts of the
parcels, so water
property's
can go
not being
there as well.
developed.
Correct. Correct. We are doing those things. But
Excuse me. Excuse me. Okay, you're welcome to come up in a little while. Well, give him a chance to finish.
So what we are proposing to do is, rather than construct some of the mitigation elements which we no longer need, we are proposing to make a payment in lieu to the city so they can employ other mitigation projects or strategies anywhere in the city. So in those areas that are higher in need than this specific project on site.
Excuse me, this is not question, yeah, I know. This is just informational. He's giving you the information, and if you would like to speak about that.
He said the $100,000, right? The $100,000, the way you say it, right, does not have to affect that particular area. That money is so he can do that, use that money somewhere else in the city to mitigate water.
Should
or somewhere in the
the
area. Is that right? Not necessarily on that
It's the
site.
city's discretion how they want to use
Right.
it.
Okay,
all I want.
but
Yeah,
they're not going to build on that
No,
site.
no, no. You're not understanding what I'm trying to understand. He made it clear. The money
Thank you.
was to
Okay, good.
to be used anywhere, to help do the same thing, but maybe not on that particular site.
Okay,
That's all.
okay, I gotcha, thank
And
you.
just for the record, Jason Hyman from the firm of Price,
Thank you,
Shulman,
Jason.
D'Arminio,
Yes.
Woodcliff.
Okay. Thank you very much. Does anyone on the council, I think we want to poll.
I want to pull and I want to have explanation for a few things.
I have one question to answer.
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, I was asked about Resolution 139, Appointment of Recreation Advisory Committee Chairperson.
Oh, right, go ahead.
Yeah, so, oh, sorry. So at our, so I asked everybody from the Recreation Advisory Committee if they were interested to let me know. And one person responded, and they sent their resume. And the city clerk circulated the resume to all the council people. They sure do. They do. They're this is their third year on the Recreation Advisory Committee. They played football for Lehigh University. They played baseball, and currently they're involved in baseball in the city of Englewood. And they have a very impressive, long, extensive resume. And I imagine if you ask, are you allowed to supply, I mean, if, if Ms. Bullock wants the resume, you're able to supply it to her if she opens it?
If it's all right with you, I'll take it. Bill, can she give?
It's only once the person's appointed. They remain confidential unless the appointment isn't made.
Oh,
What's that?
all right.
Yeah.
Okay, there are, is,
Sorry. You had another resol, what? Oh. Okay, so it's not a resolution tonight. I don't know it off the top of my head. I do know that it's compliant with the ordinance. So that would mean, again, I think that the city clerk has a list of where everybody lives, and I'm sure you could probably get that from the city clerk's office.
okay. Are there any other comments from the council on this consent agenda?
125 and 142.
125.
142.
125, the obsolete property.
Right, if the city manager could do a recap and explain exactly what that is, so there's clarity.
Did you say,
Okay.
and also 122?
140.
142.
I'm sorry, 142. Lisa can talk about the peace poll.
All right.
Do you want to talk about the obsolete material, and then Lisa can talk about the peace poll?
Sure. Resolution 125 is it's old equipment that the city no longer uses, so it's surplus. So the goal is to see if other people are interested in it, and then we are going to auction it off. We're going to use an electronic bidding process for that. But some of the items on the list, there's some fire department equipment. So there's 2-inch fire hose. There's we have office furniture. We have wooden desks. We have metal file drawers. We have a Hearst hydraulic cutter. We have hydraulic spreaders. We have an electric power generator for hydraulic rescue tools. So it's all listed in this resolution, and it includes the serial numbers so that people will know what it is. We have we have a vehicle-mounted electric generator for hydraulic rescue tools, and that's basically it. This is a lot of equipment that's from the fire department that's been declared surplus, or no longer meets our current needs.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Lisa, would you tell us about the peace poll?
Sure. So, which resolution?
142.
Okay. So, there's a Teens for Peace program in Englewood. This is its third year. It started as a project, like I said, from the Rotary Club of Englewood. What the project does, it brings together students from the 5 middle schools of Englewood, and those are the charter school, it's the Janice Dismas Middle School, because we're working with 6th, 7th, sometimes 8th graders. It's with Mariah, Elizabeth Morrow, and Dwight Englewood. So those are the 5 middle schools, and it's facilitated by the Bergen Family Center. They meet once a week. They started meeting, I think they started meeting the very beginning of February. It runs through into the spring, and they talk about issues such as community, diversity, equity. It's a very nice program toward the end of the program in the spring, they do a community project together. The students determine the project, so I don't know what they'll do this year. And at the end of the project, there's a culminating award ceremony and a planting of a peace pole. Englewood never had a peace pole, so the peace pole, if you've seen it, you could see it. The first peace pole that was planted is in Veterans Park. The second one's at the Englewood Public Library. This year, the peace pole is going to be planted at McKay Park. It says on it, "May peace prevail on earth," in 8 different languages. And the children the participants pick the languages. I don't remember offhand which, we actually just ordered the peace pole this week, and I don't remember the 8 languages. I know they have English and Spanish and Hebrew, and I think they picked Ukrainian. I don't remember the other 4 that they picked this year. And so it's a wonderful project. We even have the date of the award ceremony. It's in May. I don't remember offhand, but if people want to come and attend, they're certainly welcome to. It's been a successful project. Of course. Of course it is. Yes.
All right, Lisa. It happens to be a lovely project. It's great to see the kids all together. The whole idea was to bring them together from all over the city, public and private. And Rotary deserves a lot of credit because they instituted it. They really did. And we should have more things like this where we bring the kids all together. Okay, I know that we have 2 items that we may want to pull from this. So, Bill, do I have to do separate?
Yeah, we just ask if any of the council people want to pull any of the resolutions, just identify the resolution.
I'm assuming
I
Matt
know Mr. Cawthon.
Cawthon's we're going to pull.
140.
Okay, so we're going to pull.
I'll speak last.
Good. 137. Oh, we have to have a motion. We need a motion to table 137. Can I do that in the middle of this?
You can do it right now.
Okay. Can I please have a motion to table 137?
So moved.
Can I have a second? I second it. Can we have roll call on that? This is to table 137.
Yes. Councilman Cobb?
Yes.
Councilman Rosenzweig?
Yes.
Councilman Wilson?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wasatski?
Yes.
Council President Marin?
Yes. Now we're going to pull from the list the resolution honoring Matt Cawthon, so we can have Charles read the citation. Can we have, can we just, I have to get a motion for that? To pull it?
No.
Okay.
Nope.
So we're going to be voting on item 116 through 136, and then 137 to 139, and then 141 to 143. Do I have a motion?
137 was tabled.
I pulled out 137. I thought we just voted on that.
It's a table.
Okay, 137 is tabled. Do I have a motion? You want me to say the numbers again? Everybody knows what we're voting on?
It'd be easier if you share what's being pulled.
Okay, let's try this. We're going to vote on 116 through 136. We're going to table 137. Then we're going to vote on 138, 139, 141, 142, and 143. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, Kevin seconds it. Could we have a roll call?
Councilman Cobb?
Yes.
Councilman Rosenzweig?
Yes.
Councilman Wilson?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wasatski?
Yes.
Council President Marin?
Yes, good. Okay, we're now going to, deal with number 140-03-30-23, the resolution honoring the late Matt Cawthon. Charles?
Yes. For all of you who don't know, Matt Cawthon, who grew up in Englewood, went to Dwight Moore High School, but more importantly, before I read this, and reading this doesn't even do justice to the commitment and to his legacy as somebody who grew up in the city of Englewood. So I'm gonna read this, but if all of y'all who knew Matt Cawthon, you know, he was a 3-time councilman at large. He was a 3-time council president. He was also board of trustees at Lincoln University. He was also a track member of a famous track at the Raiders track called the Mighty Burners for the speed and the records that they set. He was a founding member of the Bergen County Charter Commission, which studied local governments. He was the treasurer there. He was a deacon at Ebenezer Baptist Church. You know, he was in charge of the deacon board. He was a member of the fraternity Kappa Alpha Psi. Matt Cawthon did a lot of things here, and he was a quiet giant who will certainly be missed to his contributions to the city of Englewood. And when you read what he's done, that's what we know. But he's touched a lot of lives personally. He was a councilman at large. I happen to have the pleasure, serve at the pleasure of you as being the councilman at large at the city of Englewood. So it was a pleasure for me, but a sad occasion, to draft this resolution in his honor. Because those who went, like Mr. Campbell here, who was a teammate of his, went to school with him, knows what Matt Cawthon meant to this community.
Yes, I do.
He knows what he meant to this community. You know, if Matt said he was gonna do something, he did it. And he served this community, and we could all take a page out of his book. His legacy will speak for itself. So I think that, you know, he set a standard, but he gave us an example about what's given back to this community. And he went down that way as well. So it's an honor for me to speak about this man in this way. And I think that we can all learn something from Mr. Cawthon. This doesn't even do it justice for what he's done. To read it is just a small part of his contributions to the city of Englewood and what he meant to the city of Englewood. And he was a quiet giant. He wasn't somebody who sought attention. He was a Christian man, and he was a family man. But more importantly, he was a city man as well. They shared him with us. So my honor goes to the Cawthon family, and I want to thank them in their time of bereavement. Thank you for sharing Matt with us. And, you know, hopefully, if you didn't know, read the resolution. That's just a small part of what he did and who he was. So, thank you for letting me just tell you from my feelings who he was, and giving my condolences to his family about it. But I think that those who didn't know him here, they missed him. But those of us who did know him, you got to know him. You know, so Mr. Campbell, I know you know him, so you know him, and some other people, Lucy, you know him, and others knew him as well. So it's a tough time, I believe, for the family. It's a tough time for the city of Englewood, because he was one of ours. You know, homegrown. His father worked for the city of Englewood, while his son sat on the council. So they were on both sides of the fence, right? So, you know, he accomplished a lot, you know, and his family has a legacy here. And he not only did that, he was on the planning board, the school of estimate board. I mean, he served on probably every board that we had in town. So he was of service in his life to the community of Englewood. That's what he was. He's of service to us. So thank y'all for listening to me. You guys might know his sister Fern Coffin in your age, or Ricky or Wayne as well, along with his mother and his wife Karen. So you know what? Job well done. Reverend Gibbons, you speak about it all the time. Let your work speak for you. His work speaks for him. So thank you for allowing me to just say a few words about Matt Coffin.
Thank you so much. Can we have a motion?
A motion.
I
Second.
second. Can we, Kevin seconded. Okay, can we have roll call?
Councilman Cobb?
Absolutely.
Councilman Rosenzweig?
Yes.
Councilman Wilson?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wasatski?
Yes.
Council President Marin?
Yes. Okay, now we have items for discussion. Bob, you want to look down this list and give us a little, because the hour is late?
Sure. The first one is there's a recommendation from our engineer to amend the engineering fees so that they will cover the engineering department's costs. So that's something that will come up at a future meeting. There's a memo from France in the agenda packet. There's also a report for the bond sale that the city had, and that bond sale was early in March. The city received a bid for the bonds, and the sale was of $10,932,004 for the bond anticipation notes. Piper Sandler and Company provided the winning bid at a net interest cost of 3.227%. 6 bids were received. That same week, there were 3 other tax-exempt bond anticipation note sales that went to market, and the city of Englewood's rate received the best rate out of all of them, even though the other municipalities had higher credit ratings. But part of the reason we received the better rate, and it was by 25 to 60 basis points, was because we put together an offering document and the other communities didn't, and then we went through that with Standard & Poor's, literally word for word, and we argued with them about the wording for several hours, but that resulted in a better rating for the city. So by law, we're supposed to talk about this at a public meeting, so this is what we have done.
Terrific.
And then I will provide a memo to the city council from our bond advisors. Okay. Next is developing guidelines for street renaming. This has come up at several council meetings. It goes back to last year, and we're going to be working on the proper procedure for that. That'll come back to the council sometime later this year. And then Jones Road, the state has been doing work on Jones Road at night. The city doesn't control the work that's being done. But we are receiving better communication from the state about the work that's going to be done on Jones Road. There's some they seem to be a bit ahead of schedule on some of the work that they're doing. Next week, the DPW is going to start making improvements on a city-owned parcel where there'll be a path that'll lead out to Walton Street, because we're going to reactivate, or the New Jersey Department of Transportation, as well as New Jersey Transit Bus, wants to reactivate the commuter bus service westbound, and we've identified a spot where commuters can get off the bus safely and then be picked up on Walton Street by by people and then drive away. And then there's been discussion about looking at the food truck ordinance. This ordinance is about 8 years old, and there is a question about, can tables be put out on private property if the owner of the private property gives permission. So we're taking a look at the wording there, and we will poll the council, and we will bring it back at a future meeting to see if it makes sense.
Thank you.
So that's the items for discussion.
Okay. Anyone on the council have any comments? Questions, comments? Okay. We're going to move on to bills and claims, Resolution 143-03-30-23. Okay, do I have a motion to approve bills and claims?
So moved.
Can I have a second? I'll second it. Can we have a roll call? Oh. Any questions about the bills and claims, Charles?
I have a question on page 1, Mr. Kaufman. Page 1, third from the bottom. Millenniums. FEMA. Millennium Strategies, 10,020. Is that money that
We get reimbursed, yeah.
is that reimbursed? We getting reimbursed for that? Or
From
that's
FEMA,
money we
yeah.
paid that?
Yeah, we pay it, but we get reimbursed from FEMA.
So we're gonna get reimbursed for
Yes.
that 10,000? Okay. And they're still working with us?
Yes.
Outside of the billing that they bill us monthly?
Yes,
No
But-
breaks from them?
but this is reimbursed anyway, so
No, but no breaks from them?
it's their hourly rate, yeah.
Okay. And the other thing is the ban, I saw the ban's 350,000.
That's the interest
That's the interest that we got
that we pay
That we pay.
from last year.
from last year, right? When are we converting to long-term debt?
Probably next year.
Next year? Is that what the financial advisors say?
Yeah.
Recommend?
Charles, could you get closer? I can't
Is
hear
that
you.
what the financial advisors recommend?
Yes.
Next year?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Thank you.
Anybody else with a question? Okay, can we have a motion? Oh, we did have a motion. Can we have a roll call?
Councilman Kopp?
Yes.
Councilman Rosenzweig?
Yes.
Councilman Wilson?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wasatski?
I'll abstain.
Council President Marin?
Yes. Okay, we're now ready for communications from the governing body and the city manager. Mayor Wiles, as you know, is absent. Charles, would you like to begin?
Yes. Thank you for coming out tonight. As I just finished talking about former Councilman Matt Cawthon, it was a sad time, and I, again, give my condolences to his family. I just want to touch on a few things tonight. One that troubles me is the city website, the changing of the color. It may not seem like a lot to people, but growing up here in Englewood, and then I go see the website is blue and white, and all I know is maroon and white, you know, I have to ask the question, what happened, who encouraged that, and what does it mean? Maroon and white is the history of this town. And, you know, I'm going to defend that as long as I'm here. I had the privilege to represent this town as an athlete, but also as somebody who graduated from Dwight Moore High School. You know, that's how we identify these municipalities, by their colors. Hackensack is gold and blue. Teaneck is blue and white. Tenafly is orange and black, and Dumont is those colors, and so on and so forth. That's history. That's legacy. That and I think that it's offensive when we don't do that, because I want to know what history is about from me. So, I sometimes people don't know, and you have to explain to them what happened or whatever. But there's no reason. I don't know. I'm gonna find out. But no, and real talk. I'm real serious about this. This is real talk for me and a lot of other people, because that's all I know in terms of what it is. So I would hope that we could correct this, whatever it is, because whatever you tell me, I'm not buying it, because it's historic to us who know the meaning of maroon and white and the colors of this town. Because I'm going to tell you something. What I know is that if you go down to the fire department, what color are the garage doors? Maroon. You go to DPW. Why did they build that building and make it maroon? That's what it is. So we should embrace that, because that's what the community has embraced. That's what we've been told. And we want our young people to understand the history of this town. Because that's the problem now. With a lot of stuff, history is not transferring. People are trying to forget about it. But we need to tell the story in Englewood, how Englewood came. We're coming up on 125 years anniversary of this town. And how do we celebrate that and relate to what it is? The seal of the city of Englewood should be maroon and white. It should be, because that's what people, if you ask anybody around here, what is that goes to a public school here, they're gonna tell you, this is the color. So I wanna make sure that for all of us, that we understand for which where we're coming from and where we're going. Because if we don't know where we're coming from, we don't know where we're going, right? And I think it's just important that we do that. I have another point I'd like to make, and I'm going to direct this to the city manager. Is say, Mr. Hoffman, I can appreciate bringing in new ideas and things of that nature, but I would hope one of the things that would be good for morale is that when we have these award ceremonies, that we have them for all departments. Recognition, maybe people don't complain about it or whatever, but I think it's good for the morale. But everybody here wants to feel good. Everybody wants to feel good. Whether it's the fire department, police department, DPW, health department, whatever. I think we should consider, and I'm not saying that you haven't, but I'm saying I would like to see you consider those things. So it's important to all the employees of the city of Englewood. If the goal is to make this the best city that we can, we got to bring all the employees together, and we got to treat all the employees and make them all feel good about this. I think it's just important that we do that. If we're going to do great things and we're going to go big, let's just have at it and let's go at it the right way, the intentions. Another point that I want to bring up is we, under Chief Suffren and Deputy Chief Halstead, they had come to an agreement with our friends, the truckers. Those young brothers, and there were some sisters at that time, that were parking along Overpet Creek. And they had relief. We weren't going to ticket and tow them for parking overnight. But they had to get out by a certain time. These young men and women at the time, they are residents of the city of Englewood, taxpayers. These trucks are their business, their lifeline to feeding their families. We need to work with them so that the money that they make, they're not paying towing services, because it seems like that's what's happening now. Predatory towing is going on here. Enough of this already. Can I finish? Can I finish? Please, let me finish. then you can pile on all you want. But let me just finish. I think it's important that we work with those young men. We find places in the commercial and industrial areas where we can define where they can park. I think that would be helpful, a compromise, as well as in the residential areas, a compromise. Because there's only certain areas where this happens, only certain areas. As somebody who had their car towed, I know. So I'm saying these are some things that we need to work with the people in the community to come up with solutions when they come. When Mr. Satterfield talked about the potholes, we need to work, we need to listen. And I'm not saying you're not, but what I'm not seeing is that we need to say, okay, guys, people are coming to these meetings and they have true issues. We can listen to them, but we need to help try to solve some of these things or work with them. And I think it's important that we do that. I mean, I think this towing thing is a problem. And I talked to Chief Greeley, I sent him an email. And I hope that there could be a consensus, even if you're meeting with these guys to try to work something out. I think it's important. These guys were raised here, they live here, you know, they're taxpayers here. They're just trying to make a dollar. Those trucks are businesses. And every day that truck is out being towed away or something, that's costing them money. They're losing money. We should come to some kind of compromise with the overnight parking where hands off. Nobody can mess with it. You know, and we need to work on things like that. And in fairness, because these guys need a voice as well, because they're doing the right thing. And we need to really, part two is talk to this community and give them a sense of what's going on, and we get the big elephant out of the room with the Placide family, and making sure that these people are being cared for the right way, in conversation, in listening, and that we can get some solutions and what measures have been taken so that this won't happen again. We want to make sure of that. I don't think, and I don't think anybody should be getting any kind of rewards for doing their job. But, and I'm not against giving out rewards, but what I think is, we have to really think about these things. We're dealing with people's lives here. People are taking time out to come here to hear what we have to say, but they expect us to be advocates for them. Doesn't mean we'll always get it right. But the one thing is, we need to try. I think it's important that we do these things. You know, turn the rhetoric down on both sides, and collectively come together to work together to come up with some solutions. You know, and my last thing is this, and we talked about this a little bit today, I guess, is with this pool. I think we need to be very clear about what's going on, or what's attempting to go on with this whole pool topic, I'll call it, in McKay Park. Is there been a needs study, analysis, and all this kind of thing? Of course, if you're gonna have a, enclosed pool or attempt to do this and all this, did we ask the people what they think? Did we do a needs analysis to say, this is what is it gonna cost us to do this thing? What's the liability gonna come to the city of Englewood? And then have that conversation with the people who are gonna pay the bills. I just think it's important that we do that. I mean, all of us want to do the right thing. We always say that. But it's very interesting. The pool topic comes up and the community center goes blank. Pool topic comes up, but the community center goes blank. We need to get some resolutions. We got some open questions. We need to focus on this get some people some answers that come here looking for them. We can all do better, including myself. We can all do better. And I just would hope that we don't lose the focus, we get refocused, and we try to understand and work with the people so we don't have contentious meetings. We have meetings that are solution-based and we can all walk away feeling a little bit better about what went on at the meeting. But that starts with all of us, including myself. But again, I want to thank y'all for coming out. I want to thank y'all for being vigilant. I want to thank y'all for attempting to hold us accountable. And I appreciate it, because I know you had to wait a long time to get into the room tonight. But I truly appreciate it. I appreciate the feedback. You know, I would encourage more of you to go to the mic and say what's on your mind, because you spent the time to come out here. And I just want to say we can all do better. We all have expectations of this town. We've all made an investment in this town. So let's make our return on our investment better than what the return is that we're getting today. We all got a lot of work to do, and let's get focused on the work at hand, and I think we'll be better for it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councilman. Dr. Williams.
Hi, good evening, everyone. My condolences go out to the family of Mr. Matt Cawthon. I got to know him a little bit in my previous role as on the council, and I learned a lot from him, and my condolences go out to the family. Congratulations to all the members of the police department who won awards at their award ceremony earlier this week, and congratulations to the entire department on a really wonderful ceremony. It was a privilege for me and my wife earlier this week to be one of the honorees at the Israeli Bonds annual event, and congratulations to the other honorees, the Levines and the Goldbergs. Very nice event. There's a new initiative nationwide that some of you might have seen the ads for. It's putting a little blue square on social media. The square takes up 2.3% of the image, which represents the percent of Jews in the nation, 2.3%. But that despite the small percentage of Jews, hate crimes disproportionately affect Jews by over 50%. So this is a Stand Up to Hate Against Jews initiative. So I encourage everyone to investigate that and look into that and consider adopting that. And to everyone who's celebrating this month, a Ramadan Mubarak, a Happy Easter, and a Chag Kasher V'Sameach. Thank you.
Lisa?
Hi, good evening. First of all, I want to recognize Bernard Placide's family and friends who are here this evening, and want to say good evening to everybody who's here. I also want to extend my condolences to Matt Cawthon's family. I had the privilege of knowing them. I hadn't spoken to Councilman Rosenzweig beforehand, but I too wanted to discuss the national campaign that started this week called Stand Up to Jewish Hate. So if you go on your social media, if you go on your social media and you look at Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, you'll see people are posting little blue squares. Councilman Rosenzweig explained what that is, that although Jews are only 2.4% of the population, they are subject to 55% of all religious hate. I'm sure many of you are aware of the ADL report that came out this week, and the ADL report reported that New Jersey is the third highest state in the country with anti-Semitic incidents. This year, 2022, New Jersey had the highest incidents that they've ever had before.
Be respectful.
I'm still speaking. Mike Kelly in, Mike Kelly,
Excuse me, this is not, we are going to be listening to you in a few moments. That's irrelevant. We listen to you, you must listen to us. We're not asking for anything.
in
Just
today's
listen.
newspaper, Mike Kelly, he's a columnist for the Bergen Record, very well respected, wrote an article about the increased anti-Semitism, and he wrote, I'm going to quote, the increase in anti-Semitism is wrong. We shouldn't tolerate it, but we do. Such is the new America. And in my own town, and he lives in Teaneck, we now need police protection just to pray. And if you go around Englewood, and if you go to the houses of worship and the schools, armed guards everywhere. So I want to draw attention to the Stand Up to Jewish Hate initiative, and asking everybody to stand up to all intolerance. I'd like to end by wishing everybody, whether you celebrate Ramadan, if you celebrate Easter or Passover, I'd like to wish everybody a happy holiday.
Thank you, Lisa. Kevin?
Good evening. Thank you for everyone hanging out. I know it's been a long night. We've touched on a lot of topics, and first and foremost, I want to give honor to God for allowing me to be here tonight and spend some time with you guys and listen to the critical issues. I'd like to give my respect to the Coffin family. I've known Matt probably, over 50 years. He's a guy that was always on the job, even when he wasn't an elected official. He's always had good initiative ideas that helped shape and change the city. So he's a giant that will be missed. So Matt, rest in peace. Coffin family, my heart goes out to you guys. Thank you for your participation. We talked about a bunch of things this evening. I don't want to be repetitive because some of the things have been brought up already. My concern is, as we're in the budget season, that I looked and I looked and I looked, and I may have overlooked it, but I didn't see a budget for changing the website. I'd like that to be presented so we can figure out who designed the website, what was wrong with the old one, how we improved the new website, and why the change of colors. Historically, since I've been here over 60 years, it's been maroon and white. That's the staple. That's the go-to. That's the recognition of our town. I'd be very interested to find out on why the website was changed. And speaking about the pool situation, herein lies a consistent problem with the pool. It appears that some regulations are not aligning, and hopefully that we're in the process of hiring a deputy city manager. And this is my hope as voting yes. And the salary is a little extensive, but the work that needs to be done in Englewood, it's very extensive. So if our new city manager needs help, I'm all for it. If it's getting our youth and our elderly bathroom privileges at the pool, at junior football, at baseball, I was appalled when someone told me they were at their kid's game and the grandmother had an accident on herself because we don't have usage to bathrooms. So if this is what the city needs to improve our roads, to help police with the training, with the tragedy of losing a life by an officer here in Englewood, New Jersey, which to me is, I can't digest that still. And for us to continue to celebrate why the Placide family suffers is beyond me right now. But we'll continue to work forward for justice because it's important. And these feelings don't go away. So if we're gonna have a deputy city manager, I pray that in this process that these things that are being lost and never to return, that we bring those back, that we get use of our facilities, that we have equal pay, that we don't have unclassified people suffering with wages and hiring new people way above the average. So if this is what we need to help with the things that we're missing, I'm all for it. Now, as you guys as residents, you're our ears and eyes. You gotta share that information. And because once we get enough complaints, this should make a difference. This turnout is good tonight. We need more residents to come out and continue to battle for a better Englewood. That's the only way this thing's gonna get done. We have to work together. Without your help, we're not being recognized. Without your concerns, sometimes that gets by. So we have to speak, we have to be respectful, but things need to get done. We're coming up on a 125-year birthday. That's supposed to be a landmark for Englewood. In my estimation, things should have changed. There are a lot of things that not have changed, but seems to have reverted. So in this celebration, I would like to contribute my efforts to help host the 125th birthday so we can be all inclusive of the city. I do not think it's a fair process to leave any ward out and any ward that doesn't have the proper representation. As long as you guys are concerned, I'm concerned. Even when you guys don't know about things, the council is concerned. And we're working on things as diligently as possible. So, thank you for coming out. Enjoy the upcoming holidays. Be safe. The Placide family, my heart still and continues to go out to you guys.
Thank you, Kevin. Thank you all for coming. I know this is a long, tedious process that you had to sit through, but it does give you some idea of what when I was reading that list of what the deputy city manager would have to be covering. One area after another. I mean, we have to all familiarize ourselves and hopefully be able to make decisions that will turn out well. These were not in my notes. I just want to say this to you about the Tryon Avenue pool. That's something, first of all, I come from a family of swimmers. They would love to swim all year round. I don't think that this is a sport that there's only one group that's interested in. I think that's ridiculous. And I think we hurt ourselves when we're fighting ourselves. Someone wants McKay, someone wants Tryon. Should we do? I don't think we should allow these forces to fight each other. We should all be working. Why can't we have both pools? Why can't, well, it's my turn now, okay? Anyway, I'm just saying, I'm listening to this and I'm saying, I wasn't making it up when I said my three children learned how to swim at the Tryon Avenue pool. I made friends that I have to this day because all of us went to the Tryon Avenue pool with our kids from the time they were little in that splash thing. And anyway, let me go to my comments. First of all, I want to wish everybody a happy Passover, a happy Easter. This has been a busy month. We celebrated with the Muslim community for the first time. There was a wonderful crescent ceremony at City Hall in honor of Ramadan. The police department honored members for outstanding acts of bravery and service to our town at a ceremony held at our newly renovated Bergen Pack. And on a sad note, as Charles eloquently stated, we lost a very, very special member of our community. He was a resident of the 3rd Ward, Matt Cawthon. And it's been said already, he served as councilman, I believe, as councilman at large for 3 terms and council president for 3 terms. This was a really special person. I was very proud. I had the honor of having him sign my petition recently, and he made sure that when he had my ear that he reminded me of several issues that should be changed and should be corrected on Cambridge Avenue. And he was just an amazing man. Anyone who worked with him liked him very much and respected him. And my condolences to his family. He will be missed. I wish we had more like him, but I think they broke the mold when they made Mac. So, of course, to the Placide family, we continue to offer our condolences. And as I say, I thank you all for being here. And of course, it's coming to that time of the night when we're going to open the public session so that you can come up, give us your concerns, your questions. Oh, excuse me, it's my fault. I apologize, I skipped. I was so anxious to hear you that I forgot to go to the city manager for his report. So let Bob give his report, and then we'll get to you. Okay. Bob, I'm sorry.
Well, that's okay. My report will be quick. I'm just pleased to report that Concord and Wilbur streets are milled and paved and striped. This was 2 repurposed community development block grants that we were able to use. So part of the payment's on the bills list tonight. I wanted to thank our city engineer, Franz Volsi, our engineering inspectors, Noah Speed and Basim Tanzi, for helping to make sure that this got done. And the Wilbur was open around 6 o'clock tonight. At the April 18th council meeting, we're going to be asking the city council to introduce the multi-purpose capital ordinance so that we can move forward with projects. And then last but not least, we received a letter from the Bergen County Prosecutor's Office that stated that they will be turning over the police department or stopping their oversight on Monday, April 3rd, so that is now back within the city after 3 years. I heard Councilman Cobb's comments about the website, and there was no intent to cause angst. But if you look behind the council president, you'll see that the city seal is blue and white. The book for the 100th anniversary celebration for the city is blue and white. And then the china that was struck for the 75th anniversary was blue and white. So there was no intent to to cause any any anxiety, but that was that's where it came from, was to make the new website ADA compliant. So we can talk about it at another time, but there was nothing there was no intent to harm. So that's my report. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Bob. I hope you all heard that because it was genuine, and that's why the first thing I did when I walked in was look at this. We didn't make this, but anyway.
Well, maybe
All right.
I should bring my
Now
mother
we're
who's
ready
90
to.
years
Now
old
we're ready.
and ask
Okay.
her. So when they
Now
put the
we're ready to
cornerstones in-
hear, you've waited long enough. Once again, I'm repeating myself, name, address, 3 minutes. We'll answer whatever we can.
Lucy Walker, Englewood, New Jersey. I would like to say that there was no angst or any kind of one pool against the other pool in my remarks. McKay Pool fits the regulations. I have no problem with that. The kids kind of like it. Tryon Pool doesn't. There was no anything one against the other. Another thing, when you know that you're going to have us outside in the hallway, it's better for you guys and us, being a teacher, okay? There's an awful lot to read. Please, Yancy, could you do us a favor and put a few outside so that we
That's
can
a good
read
idea.
them while you are here, you know, so, okay?
That's a great idea. That's a very, yes.
Thank you.
How you doing? William Fulmore, employee.
Could you repeat? I heard William, but I didn't hear.
Oh, sorry, William Fulmore.
Okay.
I'm an employee at the Department of Public Works. On behalf of everybody, DPW, I want to thank you for the signing of the contract. We were out of contract for a while, so we just want to thank the council on that. One of the issues that I have is that I have been trying to deal with, trying to get things settled privately and quietly, and to no avail. I haven't really been getting any kind of assistance from the city, so I feel that this is my only alternative is to try to do something publicly. There have been multiple times, me being a chief shop steward down there, that I have filed over this last year, at least about 20 grievances that I filed, and to no avail. I've gotten not even half of them answered. I mean, no feedback, no nothing. And you have to understand is that, you know, the city questions on why there's so many litigations that happen to the city, and it's because a lot of times it falls on deaf ears. I have numerous of documentation that I can present to everybody of me presenting to the city to try to get things resolved quietly, and I can't get anything back from the city. And I went already to the HR director and pleaded with her to get management to at least acknowledge and reply to the grievances. We got multiple people, guys get suspended down there, you know, without any kind of due process. And guys wound up getting suspended. I got suspended for a day for a piece that cost $12. And I lost about $300 worth of pay. So, I mean, and you're guilty until proven innocent. And to a point where we get to a point now where even when the contract is being violated, we do have a collective bargaining agreement. And in our contract, you know, there's clear and there's strong language in our contract, especially on how we get paid our overtime. And for a month and a half, I reached out to the city because they changed the policy on how they pay us. So even though we got paid vacation days, we got paid holidays, we got paid sick time, the 40 hours, we supposed to get overtime at time and a half after 40 hours, but we're 8 hours in the hole if we on vacation. If we call out sick and that's paid sick time, we 8 hours in the hole. And they're saying that it's the law, but then when I'm asking around the city, how many is the police department and the fire department, are they getting paid the same way? And we're told no. And it's DPW is the only organization, as far as what I've been told, that have gotten their overtime taken and changed, and not no one else. And as DPW, you know, we're tired of being the punching bag of the city of Englewood. We're tired of being the crash test dummies of Englewood, where everybody's trying stuff out on us. And we just want to be treated fair. We just want to come to work and do our jobs and be left alone. We don't make the most money down there. We just want to come and do our jobs. You know, when anything falls out that sky, we're the ones that's there. When it's 28 inches that fell, Englewood was blacktop in 48 hours,
Okay,
you know.
listen, you've been heard, and let's see what we can find out about this, okay?
Thank
You've
you.
been heard.
I'm going to answer that later.
Okay.
Restart my clock. Y'all took 5 of my seconds. Give my seconds back in.
You want to start her clock?
Restart my clock.
As soon as you started talking.
They was clapping.
Amy. Okay.
Amy Bullock, Howland Avenue, Englewood. Tryon Avenue Pool. June 24th, 2014, I sent an email to the city manager at the time, Tim Dacey. He told me that it would take approximately $350,000 to fix the pool. 2014, we're in 2023. So my question is, how much is it going to cost to fix Tryon Pool? I also recall that there was an emergency situation at the rink one time where they just went and replaced some compressor or something. Why is Tryon Pool not an emergency? And if we got $7 to $10 million in surplus, take the money and fix the pool, get the bathrooms, the showers, and everything else that's needed. Next thing is, I agree with Charles, Councilman Cobb, and Councilman Wilson on the colors. Employee recognition, I agree. We should be recognizing employees across all departments. Let me tell you something. Our DPW department is just as much security for our community as the police are, because they come down my block every day. I don't see police every day. They're eyes and ears in my community. When our kids are out riding their bikes and stuff, they're the ones out there watching that the kids see and know. So they're security. They collect our garbage. They work long hours. As soon as it snows, everybody's screaming about where's the salt and how come the roads aren't clean, but y'all don't want to pay them because they took a day off, paid vacation time, now they can't get their overtime? That doesn't even make sense. I've been in the corporate world for 30 years. That doesn't happen. You need to pay them, and it's disgusting that they had to go that long without a contract. That's insane. Would that happen with the PBA? I don't think so, because it hasn't yet. Pay them. They work hard, long hours, and they're deserving of it, and not any of you will do what they do. So give them their credit. Lastly, I support Councilman Wilson working on the 125th celebration. And lastly, we have a historic advisory committee with no liaison. They're expired terms. I think that's a great opportunity for Councilman Cobb to participate on a committee. He is obviously a lifelong resident. He knows many lifelong residents, and I think he could bring a lot to that committee and really make our celebration next year really wonderful. That's it.
Leroy Campbell, 287 Tenafly Road. Council President, I'm disappointed. I am totally disappointed. I went to school with Matt Coffin. We graduated together. He went to Lincoln, I went to Ramapo. I'm disappointed because at the beginning of this meeting, you didn't ask for a moment of silence for Mr. Coffin after he served on this council. We should have had a moment of silence before this meeting started. There was a beyond and above ceremony. Piggyback on what Amy just said, these DPW workers, they should also be recognized as beyond and above because they go beyond and above. And I know, personally I know, because these guys can attest that I've been out there with them at night when it snows. They know me, I know them. I've been out there at night with them. I've been out there at night with Councilman Cobb, Councilman Hamer, when we're all out there trying to get these streets cleaned. And these guys been working their tail off over the last few years, because when they come through and after they come through, you can see blacktop. We were never able to see blacktop before. That's how hard they work. And they should be treated fairly. The website color, I'm disappointed. I'm a graduate of Dwight Morrow. I'm a Maroon Raider for life. And that's been the color. Ever since I've known, that's been the color here in town. I'm disappointed in that color change on the website. Liberty School windows doesn't need painting. They need to be replaced. They're wooden windows. They're rotted. They need to be replaced. And to my councilman, Ken, what's going on with 111 West Street?
Well, we'll talk at the end of the meeting.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Hi, Diane Jansen, 589 Ridgeland Terrace. The first thing I'd like to say is I still can't believe there's been no action in Englewood for Bernard Placide and his family. Look what's happened in Patterson. The AG's office is taking over the police department. They had a shooting related to mental illness. What about Englewood? What's going on here? Awards and no AG. I don't get it. It's very disturbing. Then I'd like to talk about Green Acres. The Green Acres program. It says right here in the application, the park development application that was due March 1, 2023. Indoor recreation facilities, community centers, school sports facilities, and facilities that support semi-professional or professional athletes are also not eligible for Green Acres. Now, if we have sliding glass doors, is that enclosed or not enclosed? If we use those sliding glass doors for ice 12 months a year, that's an enclosed facility, 12 months a year. We need roller skating. I was a figure skater, I was a roller skater, and I'm a skier too. Proud of them all. Come on, let's everybody get a chance. The other things I wanted to mention. Stormwater. Do you know where ERA South is? It's around the neighborhoods that currently flood in Englewood. Thank you for paying to play with ERA South. You just took money so they could play and build. And now everyone else is going to have to worry about their basements and the flooding. And the current development, I don't know if you go there, I go there often. It floods and the water stays for days. Just look around. Unbelievable. It's very disturbing. Jones Road. I asked to be on constant contact so I could get more of an update than the city manager gives the public. She goes to meetings with the city manager, Lisa Wasatsky. She writes constant contact newsletters that only go to her selected people. Shame. Shame. She puts them on her social media that her and Ken run as administrators, as elected officials. They cannot block constituents. We're going to take this forward to the ACLU and other attorneys that will handle it. We've had enough. Enough. We are, listen, we're not racist and we're not anti-Semitic, but we're for equity for all.
Yes, yes.
Natasha, Englewood, New Jersey. I'd like to address the Triumph pool issue. Do you all still close out off the pool for just the Jewish community? Because I know that one year, that pool was shut down for almost an entire summer, and no other child other than the Jewish population in
I
town.
never heard of that.
Yes, yes,
Never,
that
ever.
happened, and I
You
have
bring
people
me
in here.
proof of-
I have
never.
people in here. When Gila and Merle were serving together, they shut off that pool for almost a whole summer. Yes, and I witnessed it. I witnessed it.
Never, ever heard
Anyway, that's neither here or
Never.
there. I also like to address Lisa. You said about, and Mr. Rosenwig or Swag. Oh, thank you for staying up, because you were asleep the entire time. You're the only councilman that shows your enthusiasm by going to sleep. So thank you for that. Lisa, you were saying something about the peace poll and things like that, and then you said, well, let me address the Jewish anti-Semitic comment that you said, that the Jews are being targeted. How many Jewish persons have been killed by police per year? Do you have that number? Or how many Jewish people in Englewood have been killed by the Englewood police? Englewood police will kill you.
You're out of order.
No, I'm just asking that. I'm asking that question.
This is.
I was asking that question because you have two council members that address that issue. So if they're addressing an issue, I'm thinking that they should be well versed in that particular issue. I'm asking a question. I'm not out of order. I'm asking a question because the police kill over 1,000 people, black and brown people, at a disproportionate rate annually, and that's across the country. Police in Englewood have killed over a handful of black people within the past 25 years. Teaneck has only killed one person within the past 33 years, and that one person was Philip Pennell, who happened to be my brother. So I commend the Teaneck Police Department for not killing its citizens. Englewood is a whole different game. That's a whole different story. Englewood police will kill you, and it's evident because I will not be holding this sign here. Lastly, I would like to address the council because you sit up here and you make these faces and you're like, oh, are you here to serve? Or are you here to make money? That's number one. Are you here to serve or are you here to make money? That's my first question. My second question is, what's gonna happen? When is the streets in Englewood near the hospital? Now this goes to show how much Englewood cares about its citizens or its injured citizens. On Glenwood Road, that needs to be repaired, and there's a private block. When is that gonna be open? Because it's not private, it's public. I've contacted the county, and the county's blaming Englewood for not repairing. And I contacted Englewood, the city manager, not you, Mr. Hoffman. I don't even know how many city managers we ran through within the past several years. But anyway, I contacted the city manager at one point, and everyone's blaming each other. Who's responsible for fixing those roads up there on Glenwood near Englewood Hospital?
Okay, we'll
and
try.
when will those blocks be open?
Okay, we'll try to get an answer for you. We don't have it now.
Yeah, but who owns those blocks?
I don't know.
Is it the county or is it the city of
I
Englewood?
don't want to give you the wrong answer.
Okay. Well, justice for
Thank you.
Bernard.
Yeah. Thank you. Praise the Lord, everyone. Marcella Samaderas, Montclair, New Jersey. And just to kind of go off what Natasha was speaking about with regards to incidences of violence or bias, or in regards to bias incidents, I'm not sure, Councilwoman Wisłowski, if I understood you correctly before, but I thought I heard you said that Jewish people were one of the, they were disproportionately impacted by bias. But I'm looking at the New Jersey Attorney General's office data, and just for 2021, 63% were biased, motivated by race, ethnicity, or ancestries, and out of that, 37% were anti-black and 15% were anti-Semitic. So, you know, if we're talking about violence, no one has endured more violence in this country than black people. So I just want, and still, and with regards to Bernard Placide, my chairman, Lawrence Ham, People's Organization of Progress, came up here. I know you guys don't have anything to do with, well, you don't control who the police hire as a governing body, but you watch them try to promote the brute, Luana Sharp, who murdered Bernard Placide. And then my chairman told you if you really wanted to make amends or do something to show that you really cared about that situation, that you all would write a resolution supporting the bills that provides civilian review complaint boards with subpoena power. Where are we with that? Have you all done that? Councilor Hoffman, have you drafted a resolution to help the governing body do that, to show that you really do care about black people and the fact that they're dying on the streets, and the fact that your police department has the gall to even attempt to try to promote that brute after she murdered someone's child? Where are you with that? And just to let you know, there's two bills, A1515, S2295, sitting in committee on red light while they have all these bills for auto theft, because everybody's worried about their Benz, Beams, and Lexus, right? Property, you're worried about your property, so they got all these bills on green light so you can police black communities more, but you won't do anything for police accountability. All you want to do is pay cops, put them in the streets to protect your property while people's children are dying. It's a shame. And God forbid it happens to you. And I promise you I was going to say Bernard's name before Najee was killed, because I was in the city council the week before. But you got 3 minutes. You can't get everything out. But I was going to tell them about Bernard.
Okay,
and I wish I
thank you.
would have.
Yeah, Rick Wilby, Englewood, New Jersey. First and foremost, I stand with the DPW and the wonderful job that those men and women do. And I just want everybody involved to know that they will not be bullied, and the community will stand with them. Secondly, I want to talk about the Bernard Placide matter. The city council will be very vigilant to look in the official departmental file of this police officer that you think is so great that they keep trying to move up. You'll find something very interesting within her file, because you have a lot of leaks in your police department. You have a lot of leaks. There's people that are sick and tired of what goes on in this town. Lastly, I want to educate you people. Black people are Semitic. I happen to be an Israelite from the tribe of Judah. Okay, here's a book, Judah P. Benjamin, the Jewish Confederate. This man helped kill black people. Almost every Jewish home in the South and in the North had slaves. Yes, you guys enslaved us. You didn't go to an Irish bank, you went to a Jewish bank. Okay, the Irish didn't build the ships, they didn't have the finances. And if you don't know, right now in Israel, people are pushing back against the occupation. Since 1948, Semitic Palestinians have been killed by people from Eastern European ancestry. Kevon Roos talking about we're Jewish, like unto a Jew. But I happen to be a Judean. And one thing that really upsets me is that you guys forget that when you talk about Semitic people, you're Semitic by linguistic. You speak Yiddish mixed with some Hebrew. But here's what the scripture says about you. And tell me if this is anti-Semitic, so you understand. I know thy works in tribulation and poverty, but thou art rich. And I know the blasphemy of them which say they are Jews and are not, but are the synagogue of Satan. Satan meaning the adversary. Okay? So it really bothers me when people try to come up here and talk about anti-Semitism, but you excuse your racism. Since 1948, you know how many UN resolutions have been passed against Israel and their apartheid? You know how many Palestinians are living in Gaza, an open-air prison? You know that Israel violates the Leahy Act, where they're a nuclear power? You know that Israel has a weapon called a Samson option that if a nuclear attack is fired against Israel, they'll simultaneously attack everybody else? How you got nuclear weapons and you need protection? How you got an Air Force, an Army, and Marines, $3 billion from this country's taxpayers, and you up here crying about anti-Semitism? When you treat the Semitic people, the black Ethiopians, the Africans, the Palestinians that can't marry people that they love just because they're Palestinians, but they're Semitic also. I'm sick and tired of the hypocrisy and the pious. You don't see black Jews crying. It's always the white ones from Europe. Get out of here with that bullshit.
Sylvan Sobers, Englewood, New Jersey.
Could you repeat your name?
Mr. Charles Cobb, thank you for bringing up our issue about the parking, the truck parking. I'm glad that you brought it up because we received letters as truckers about parking over on Cedar Lane. What is it? The 27th was when they're supposed to start ticketing us vigorously, and towing was the other option. Now, I spent the past 2-3 nights sleeping in my car in front of my truck to avoid being towed. No joke. Thankfully, it wasn't too cold outside. But from what I understand right now is that the council has the power to amend these laws that are on the books for truck parking. We're not asking for the whole of Englewood to be, to change just a couple of streets to accommodate those that live in Englewood, that operate business in Englewood, to, have some ease to park, or trucks, to be able to access them on a moment's notice, in case there's a problem, to check on our loads, stuff like that. Everyone loves trucks. Trucks brings everything to a community. Yeah, so we're just asking for a break. Just to let you guys know just what the numbers are we're looking at here. Registration for a truck, the tractor trailer, $1,500-$1,600 a year to register that truck. Insurance as an owner operator is about $23,000 to $30,000 a year, depending on your license and if you qualify for a lower rate. Maintenance on that truck, if it's just to change oil, is like $500-$600 a month. These are just a little bit numbers. On top of that, you're looking at your mortgage, your taxes, and putting your kids through school, stuff like that. So I'm just shedding some light on what we are going through as individuals, as citizens of Englewood, what the overheads are like, and if you can ease up a little bit on the threats of towing or paying tickets like every day, we would appreciate that very much. Thanks for the time.
Thank you very much.
Hello, I'm back. William Satterfield. I don't know too much about that, but I sympathize with them. There must be a way to have some area in town for these guys, if you live in town. I believe in that. And I don't want to talk about people who do it already, but there are some who, and we've been letting them do it for years. But I think there should be some accommodation for that. Let me get to my letter and get quick. I mentioned about we having a mild winter. Now, on Palisade Avenue, between Palisade Place and Cross Street, there are cobblestones, and I've called the city department, the DPW, and they've been there for months, that have become detached from the cobblestone that make the median. If we had had a snowstorm with a certain amount of snow, they would have never seen those blocks, and they would have got scattered into the street. It's inexplicable to me that all these different agencies, the police department, fire department, no one sees this. In this town, in any town, everyone has to communicate. If a cop sees something like that, he should report it. Just like if he sees a stop sign that someone put down, whatever, these things should be automatic. Someone should be addressed that. Shouldn't be that big a deal. But that was serious, because those cobblestones that had been in the snow could have created a whole lot of problems. And they're still there, and it's been months. All right, the other things I have, the railroad crossings, they're ridiculous. Listen, if you're in an ambulance You go across, I saw it the other day, fire department comes down Forest Avenue. He has to do like everyone else, try to find an area in the railroad tracks that isn't dangerous or isn't, but if a plow hit that railroad track, and we have old equipment, and they have things on them called skids. The skids ride below the plow so that it doesn't get caught in things. But those skids would definitely get caught in that railroad track, tear the track up, and mostly tear up the truck. So these things need to be addressed. Palisade Avenue. I don't think we even need tracks on Palisade Avenue. They should either be removed or do something with the street. Right now, if you were going east on Palisade Avenue, past Van Brunt Street, there's a huge hole. How come you don't see that? Someone has to see that. I don't mean, and listen, you heard people say, oh, we bring a lot of people. You shouldn't have to be a lot of people come here. I come here, anyone comes here and makes the right statements, it should get done. It shouldn't take weeks, it shouldn't take days. Our parks, they're disgusting, all of them. If you took a child out into these parks in the grass, because I don't believe we put fertilizer, weed killer, nothing in them for years. You would put an eye out with that crabgrass. It's not the grass we need. And let's see what else I got here. Cobblestone. There's a tree on Garrett Place where it's been leaning into the, it's actually on Grand Avenue, near the corner of Garrett Place. Leaning so far into the street, it's raised the sidewalk. But the worst part is, if we have a storm and that tree goes down, the wires go down. It's right in the wires. It's that big a tree. Oh, damn, it took me a long. No, I don't want to go over time, but I'm going to leave one of these letters here.
Give us the letter.
A copy. And this is a small letter. But when I come here the next time, I'm serious. Because there are too many things that go unaddressed too often.
No, give us
And
the
like I
letter.
said, we don't need to have 1 million people to come here to have things done. Because if that's the case, I could drag half the town here. Half the town knows me. And you laugh, it's serious.
No, you know.
Good evening, I'm Dawnell Jones, 101 West 147th Street, New York, New York, 10039. I'm a former resident of Teaneck, and I'm here to support the Bernard Plassad Jr. family. I'm also on the board of directors of the National Action Network. I was asked to join the board of directors when my city employee and church member, Alberta Spruill, her apartment was raided by the New York City Police Department, where a flash grenade was thrown in her house, and she was shot with a stun gun, and she died of a heart attack. Andrew Brown Jr. was killed by the police in Elizabeth City, North Carolina, was my cousin by marriage. A recent case just yesterday, Alberto Otino was killed in Chesterfield County, where I went to school, Virginia State University. He was buried yesterday. Najee Seabrooks in Paterson, New Jersey. Gideon Bush, who happens to be Jewish, was murdered by the New York City Police Department in Brooklyn. So I raise all of these names, and I happened when I lived in Teaneck, New Jersey, Philip Pinnell was killed. I lived 4 blocks away and saw his body laying on the ground. I raise all these names because these police need to be held accountable for all of these murders, and it's so many more. I'm just pointing out the names of families who are impacted, who I either know or because I have family members that live in these towns. So I just come over the bridge today to say that we need to please hold our police department accountable, as someone stated earlier, to have the Attorney General involved, but we cannot continue to have our black and brown children murdered by the police and nothing is being done about it. Thank you.
Matt Dragon, 13 Sheridan Avenue, West Orange. I'm here tonight to again lend my voice to the family of Bernard Plassad Jr. Bernard is not the only victim of police brutality in this town, and he's probably not even the latest, but he was the most recent person murdered by your police. From what I'm able to tell, none of the family's demands have been met or even seriously debated. 1, Officer Sharp must be fired. Period. End of story. Last time I was here, it was because the police chief was attempting to promote Officer Sharp. You noted that you only have purview over department heads, yet he's still the chief. So why haven't you fired him and required any new chief agree to fire Officer Sharp? 2, transfer oversight of the Englewood PD to the State Attorney General's office. It's not surprising that your police force has already been subject to outside oversight by the county prosecutor. But as the Placide family can attest, that wasn't enough. And you just announced tonight that this is ending. So now, like Patterson, your police force should also be subject to state takeover. Maybe you take some solace in the fact your police force is not as violent and abusive as Patterson's. But that doesn't make your black neighbors feel any safer, knowing they could be the next one murdered. You, as the mayor and council, should actively engage the Attorney General's office, requesting that they take over the department. 3, all of New Jersey needs strong civilian complaint review boards with parallel investigation, subpoena, and discipline powers. You can do your part now by passing a resolution supporting that bill, A 1515, S 2295, and calling for it to be passed in Trenton. You can lobby your state representatives to ensure they are co-sponsoring the bill and will support it. You can prepare now so Englewood can have a strong CCRB as soon as the law is passed. 4, fund, build, and seed a junior youth center in Bernard Placide Jr.'s name. This seems to be totally clear of any legal restrictions, employment law, ongoing attorney general investigations, or anything else. So where's the plan? Bernard Placide Jr.'s murder by Englewood police hasn't gotten the same local and national media attention that Najee Seabrook's murder by Patterson police did. But that doesn't mean that Bernard didn't matter.
That's right.
Your resident is dead.
That's right.
Your police officers screamed profanity at him and screamed they would kill him. They tased him. And while he was unable to comply because he was still being tased, your police officer murdered him. Your police chief didn't just justify her actions, he tried to promote her. And yet they're still employed, and you're still on council. So let's hear a motion for a vote of no confidence in Officer Sharp, in the police chief, and in the mayor if he won't fire the chief.
Keelan Scott, Lodi, New Jersey. I'm actually upset this time now because I keep coming up here and trying to be philosophical and reason and have logic, but that ain't gonna work. This is a safety issue, not just a safety issue. This Bernard Placide being killed, the police assaulting people, the police running a brigade and running amok and being, excuse my French, some crazy motherfuckers up in here is a safety issue. And not just a safety issue for me or for the other people of color in here, but for you, and you. And if you don't take that seriously, if we don't take it seriously, that any of these people are gonna kill you, hurt you, or maim you, and the reason why they will is because of a lack of accountability and because they act with impunity. The police department and the police force in this United States of America are the absolute most violent police force in the country, and I think that goes without saying. At least we're number 10 of 200 and over 200-something countries. That is a shame, and we should be ashamed of ourselves for that. The police continue to kill, beat, brutalize, and maim the U.S. citizens, and let me remind you that they falsely arrest and beat down people way more than they kill people. I'm one of them. Okay? So they continue to do it because they don't get disciplined. Just like children. It is that simple. If you do not write a letter to the Attorney General, to somebody, and speak up as council members that you will not stand for this Bernard Placide incident, or at least some other police incident for this matter, then any of us can be next, and it is a safety issue for everybody. We have a safety issue here in this country. And it's okay if it's a problem, but we have to realize it. We have to acknowledge and accept that we have an issue here. It's fucking driving me crazy every day that I'm a victim of this and people trying to pretend like it's not real. Excuse my French, but this is crazy. And just because you're Jewish, or you're white, or you're old, or you're rich, you're not exempt. You can get beat. It is the blue versus you. Do you not get that in your skull? If they don't know who you are, and they don't know that you're a council person, or they don't know that you're a police officer or whatever, and you're not wearing something, you will get beat. You are not exempt. Unless they see in their minds and they know, as every human being understands, that you will be held accountable and will go to jail or at least lose your license, we're in trouble. All of us. Bye.
You know, it's very difficult to come up here after listening to the two young men who just spoke, the young white brother and the young brother that just spoke. And their comments were just so on point. And the point is, it's time for you guys to really take this serious, okay? And it's an insult to come up here as a black man where my people have been traumatized for 400 years and still being traumatized, and you talking about your issues of being Jewish. I've never heard of a Jewish person that was shot and killed that was unarmed. You really don't understand the trauma that we have to go through as black people, trying to deal with a society that has so many injustices in it, okay? And I have been blessed to have grown up in a very diverse community. My neighbors in the projects were survivors, and I didn't know it. I was a little kid, okay? I didn't know it until later on, okay? I've had all kind of friends. Two of my best friends are Jewish. But I get tired of you come up here and talking about the issues that you're confronting when you don't have no sensitivity to what African Americans have gone through and are still going through. You never hear of a Jewish person being killed by a black police officer. Okay? So I'm not trying, you shouldn't compare, and I'm trying not to compare what your people go, because I sympathize with you. What went on in Europe with Hitler was insanity. I watched documentaries all the time. I had the blessings of having a relationship with one of the most grandest persons I've ever met in my life, Thomas Lantos, who was a survivor. And I didn't know that he was a survivor until later on. I was involved in a congressional hearing where he was the overseer of that congressional hearing, okay? And I didn't understand why he was so convicted about human rights issues until I saw a documentary after he died. You got to stop being so one-sided when it comes to these issues. All these people that come up here and spoke about Bernard Placide, they are pouring their hearts out. It blows my mind that you guys do not understand it's time for this body to come together to come up with some solutions, to sit down. Yes, you have to have some police reform. Nobody's saying all them damn cops are bad cops, but you got to weed out the ones that are racist. You got to weed out the ones that like to violate people. You got to start somewhere. You can't sit here and look at all these cases of people being abused, black and brown people being abused throughout this country, and think you don't have no problems here in Englewood when you already have examples of police killing black young men? When is it going to resonate to you that it's time for some corrective action? Yes, we need to have the Civilian Review Board. It's long overdue. Let's push it with subpoena power. Can we push that issue and have a committee and sit down and look into police reform and police Civilian Review Board with subpoena power? Madam President, can we form a community ad hoc committee to look into that? If you guys really want to be leaders and have the guts to really look into that issue and stop playing politics and afraid of what the police union is going to do for your political career. This is serious.
Believe me, we all appreciate how serious this is.
No,
That's
you
all I
don't
can
appreciate it
say.
because you're not walking in my skin. You'll never know how serious it is, okay? We're the ones that's affected by innocent and young black kids being killed, where they jumping out of a car with a young black kid, 12 years old, playing by himself, and shoot him in 15 seconds.
All right.
Okay? We're the ones that's affected by police insanity.
Listen, I appreciate what you're saying. That's all I could say right now.
No, you need to say more than that. You need to say that you're convicted about doing something that's going to change the situation. Okay? We don't want to keep hearing that's all I can say. It's time for some change. Thank you. That's what we're asking for, a resolution.
Come on, it's midnight.
I'm Eric Kleiner, and I'm Bernard Placide's attorney and the attorney for the family. Bernard can't be here, obviously. I have to speak for him. It was not my intent to speak tonight. My intent to listen to all of you. But we have to get past plausible deniability. People are confused about your powers, the police powers, and the attorney general powers. But there are leaks, as people have said. You have the FOP problem in your town. You have officers hurting. I represent so many police officers, mostly Caucasian police officers. 77 police officers that have seen these videos in our case, and countless experts cannot believe what we have found. This officer has been cleared for active duty. Cleared. That means we know more than we ever knew before. We know more than we're saying tonight. You have too many leaks because people within the department are scared. They're scared of her. That bullet could have gone through that wall and killed an officer behind that wall. She is a menace. And what I'm here to tell you tonight is there is a way for you to find out. You think this was random? You have the power under the Attorney General guidelines to ask your chief of police to go to the Attorney General or a Superior Court judge in Bergen or the Bergen County prosecutor and ask for permission to release Sharp's personnel file on her hiring, her fitness report. It's in there. She will kill again. Our investigation has indicated that countless people have come forward, ticket after ticket, situation after situation, where they've had problems with her. Overly aggressive, dangerous. When your head hits the pillow tonight, think about this. What do you think's going to happen while she's in the detective bureau? What do you think's going to happen? She's going to get called out again. There is something in her background. Ask for it. Get past the plausible deniability. It'll come out in all the litigation. It will come out. It's your chance to ask the chief of police, show us the fitness report. How could she do this? 77 officers and experts cannot believe that she is not only on active duty, she is working in the detective bureau. You can call her up and play her extension and run it through, and she'll say, "Hi, Detective Sharp here." So let's stop with that. She's in the detective bureau, and she is in the detective bureau. We have the documents, and in the
Then you should
2023
give them
budget, you'll be paying her,
you were really
and we won't be
serious,
back. So
you
you know
would
what?
give us-
Make my day.
You
Give
may
her
give
the
us
money.
the
Give her the
information.
money and the retro. The money and the retro.
Give
We'll
us-
be back.
Give
Thank
us
you. Have
the
a good night.
information.
So Judy.
Thank you all very much.
Judy,
We're now
Judy,
closing.
Judy.
Yes.
Close the public portion.
I would like to close the public session.
So just some questions from Mr. Campbell. I talked about this in January. I worked with the governor's office for the funding for 111 West. Ooh, sorry. And they had some trouble getting the elevator parts, but it's going to be open next year in 2024. I spoke to Domingo back in January. I can get an update for the next time we speak, but it's taking a long time to rebuild there. To the person who, I think it's Natasha, who asked about Davison and East Hudson probably was the other street. Both of those plans are under review at DEP, and we hope to hear back, the two separate plans, we hope to hear back next month about it, and then send it out to bid, and hopefully it'll be rebuilt within a year or so. All right.
You want to say something?
Yeah.
15 hours of meetings today.
All right, thank you, Council President. Two items that came up. There was a question about the Tryon pool, and I wanted to make everyone aware that our recreation director and our city engineer were and are advocating that we make sure we have a lease in place and then apply for the Green Acres funding so that we can repair the Tryon pool and do other improvements. That was something that they were adamant about from the beginning, but they were also very involved in making sure we don't lose the grant funding that we have now for that $307,000. I also wanted to address the issue that was brought up by the shop steward for the DPW. So there were several issues that were brought up, and most of them are of a personnel nature, and they need to be dealt with that way. But I will say this, that some of the issues that were brought up were part of an audit finding that had to do with overtime in the DPW. That's being addressed. In a closed session in a previous meeting, the governing body reviewed some of the issues that are being looked at. There was also questions about grievances. There are several grievances. There's a grievance process. And the process is that it has to go through DPW and then it comes over to the HR director. Mr. Fulmore asked for a meeting, and he asked yesterday for the meeting. There's a meeting that's scheduled for Tuesday of next week. So some of what's brought up is just self-serving and disingenuous. But our DPW does a good job day in and day out. The DPW on tonight's meeting, there was a resolution approved to purchase new equipment. So there's going to be a new vacuum truck that's coming. But also, Mr. Fulmore had the opportunity, he helped craft the memo that he referenced about overtime. He reviewed it before it was sent out. He also suggested changes in the wording, and those changes were accepted by me and put into the memo. So I just want to make sure that, no, we're going to talk about this on Tuesday as you had asked, but just.
You gotta just finish. Let's close the meeting.
No. Anyway, this is a.
Bob, you gotta
So the
wrap
answer,
up.
that's it. So all right, but this, you know what, the DPW has a contract that they deserve. We're working on the language that is required. So, but.
They don't want to hear the truth.
Yep. Yeah. All right. So that's all I have to say. But there's usually two sides to a story.
To adjourn.
Let's go.
Can I have a motion to adjourn? I have a motion.
Second.
Do I have a second? To adjourn. Okay.
All in favor?
Meeting adjourned. All in favor? All in favor? What? All in favor of adjourning?
We're adjourned.
Sorry.
We are adjourned. Thank you.